is a moment of prestige. We will have moments of glory and defeat as we find out who is the best StarCraft 2 player of 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the WCS Global Finals! It's time to start knocking players out one by one until we're left with the last Heart of the Swarm champion as we wrap the careers of Heart of the Swarm up and move on to Legacy of the Void. And to kick off the quarterfinals, we have one of the best Protoss players, but no matter what he does, no matter how much he's achieved, still hasn't left a mark in StarCraft 2 history. What's it gonna take for him? If he wins BlizzCon, are we gonna hear everyone chant his name? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome SKT T1's Classic! And on the other side, don't let his smile fool you. He's got the most adorable smile, but just like that, he's also the most ruthless commander you might see as soon as he takes his seat. Representing CJ Entis, please welcome her0! Gonna come back on the stage. BlizzCon, welcome to the WCS!
(16강부터) 좀 강한 상대여서 혹시 떨어지면 어떡하지라는 생각을 하면서 이제 준비를 열심히 했어요. 그런 걱정들이 있었는데 이번에 16강전 3대0으로 이겨서 걱정이 말끔하게 해결된 것 같아서 너무 좋고.
오늘 경기장 오기 전에 전날 밤에 시차 적응을 잘 못하는 바람에 1시간밖에 잘 못 잤어요. 그래서 좀 많이 졸린 상태에서 와가지고 되게 많이 불안했는데 1경기 지고 오히려 더 자신감이 생겼던 것 같아요.
다른 선수들은 이제 준호를 무서워하는 선수도 많더라고요. 저는 준호를 만났을 때 제가 거의 다 이겨서 좋은 기억밖에 없기 때문에 이번에도 준호 8강에서 만나게 돼서 속은 되게 좋고 작년에 이겨봤기 때문에 이번에도 제가 이기지 않을까라는 생각이 들어서
작년 블리즈컨에서 8강에서 도움한테 떨어졌어요. 그래가지고 진짜 여기 오니까 또 새록새록 떠올라가지고 복수심이 지금 활활 타오르고 있는데
준호가 작년에 서치고 멘탈이 나갔는지 바로 호텔로 가더라고요. 사실 이번에도 그럴 것 같아서 벌써부터 미안해져요. 제가 이겨서 준호가 또 우울해질까 봐.
That's a whole new special kind of trash talk for that match. I'm worried about how sad he might be. I'm just worried about his feelings in this match, but I'm going to make him cry. I mean, honestly, it's kind of an understatement. When you look at the stats, Classic always beats her0. It's 3-0. It's going to be 4-0?
Yeah. I think so. Well, I mean, that's the thing we're talking about, like distractions. And we have seen one-sided matches. That's kind of the thing, too. I come from kind of a... Well, I'm a StarCraft nerd, but I also followed sports well. I mean, a lot of Super Bowls are really bad because one team comes super prepared, the momentum starts getting going, and the other guy's just like, well, okay, it's over. That can happen, and it's kind of not great for us as observers, but what's really awesome is when it goes 2-2, and it goes that final game, and it's like, all right, who's got the nerves of steel? And both these guys can deliver there.
her0 did look quite shaky in the round of 16, while Classic was just performing
he's a monster.
Incredibly well. So going into BlizzCon now here, the round of 8, where the pressure is even higher, it might be a little bit hard for her0 to actually, find his
literally higher too, because that stage is like 700 feet tall. Those guys are playing higher than they've ever played in their entire
They're climbing inside of Voltron.
Well, I don't know the elevation of here compared to Seoul, but you might be right about that. But what I do know is that if I ask anyone in the world, who are the best Protoss players, instantly her0 comes to mind, right? Parting is probably right up there. They're probably going to mention SOS, you know. Classic is pretty far down that list, but this guy, he's an SSL champion, a GSL champion. He won I Am Shenzhen, which, by the way, had Rain and Parting in it, and he beat them both. I mean, and her0 as well, even in that tournament. Yeah. When are we going to stop calling him the chin toss and start calling him the win toss?
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Was that on the spot? That was incredible.
No, he's been planning that one for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. But I've had that one in my back pocket since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, so here's the thing. You talked about how so many people underrate Classic. That's me. I voted BL was going to be Classic. Classic,
me too.
Murdered BL. It did not look close. Here, I'm still kind of rooting for her0. I mean, we've been talking so much about Classic, but what I love so much about her0 is the fact that when you look at his gameplay, it doesn't immediately stand out. Oh, that's the composition that everyone else goes for. Oh, I've seen that build order before. But when you actually look and study the timings, which is really what matters, that's the essence of strategy in StarCraft, you see that he's getting things 30 seconds earlier, a minute earlier. He has 3 Colossus when other people have 2. He never misses chrono boosts on his forge. It's those sort of things that make him, in a very sort of subtle, hidden way, keep winning again and again and again and again.
I mean, this is what I like about StarCraft so much. It's like, it's art in motion. I don't disagree with you, but I definitely do see superb micro coming out of him, and I think that does set him apart, and I think in the PvP matchup in particular, it makes him super dangerous. But here we have Classic, and as you can see, 83-61. To a lot of people, that's like, oh, that's not super impressive. It's almost a 500 record. But keep in mind, this is him playing against Koreans almost exclusively, the best Koreans, too, by the way, where he's distinguished himself with multiple championships, like you guys have both talked about, and several of those victories over her0 himself.
Well, the beauty of StarCraft is there are different styles, right? So if her0 and Classic would have to play the same build order against each other, I would always bet my money on her0. But Classic can always try to find that edge, trying to go for an all-in, try to find a cheese, or just get a small advantage by taking small risks.
You know, really, in Bill's interview before he played against Classic, he said Classic is a dishonorable Protoss. And I'm sure every Terran and Zerg out there knows what Bill was trying to say with that.
They say that about all of us, though.
Well, yeah, they do, but when you look at
build a Dark Templar, you're immediately dishonorable.
Stop it. When you look at her0 and Classic, her0 is the Protoss that you wish you could be, and Classic is actually kind of what you are, right? Like, he's going to take all the abusive strategies, he's going to hit all the timings, and that makes him especially dangerous in Protoss versus Protoss.
Wow, I have to agree.
Okay, this is a very interesting first map pick from Classic, Bridgehead, inspired by the Brood War map Katrina. Give it to Day 9 to force a Brood War reference into there.
I'm right there behind you, bud.
Yeah, I mean, Bridgehead is an unusual map 2-player where you start with your natural hidden behind you.
And you got the back rocks, which can be kind of tricky there as well. Sorry, what were you going to say, Dan?
Well, I mean, that map, it's the weird map that's left here. There's 3 maps that are quote-unquote weird compared to what we're used to. 2 of them were banned out in Bastion Terminal and Moonlight Madness. But to have Bridgehead here as the last kind of weird map, you know, I feel like they want to get that out of the way.
I don't think it's that weird in PvP though, because the backrocks don't play as much as a part as in other matchups.
Sure.
It feels like it will operate more like a cliff for playing Stalkers, rather than that somebody's just gonna go for an extremely fast all-in to break down those rocks.
I mean, it's either an all-in or it's the mid-game stuff, right? When you're at 3 bases, and then it all becomes about that big fight in Protoss versus Protoss. If you lose that big fight, you are almost certainly dead. And if you can actually kind of sneak up and get those back rocks and get the position where you're killing that third, but also you have the full concave against their kind of attempt to stop you from doing that, that's a game-winning move potentially.
And we've talked so much about the fact that in a best of 5, often you'll prepare something a little special for the first match. Protoss vs. Protoss, such a volatile matchup, so unstable. I mean, what's going to be the first play?
And Classic's the build order guy, right? Like, I think we can all agree on that. her0's kind of the more... Obviously, he's got prepared builds, but he's kind of like the more performance guy. I would like to see, I don't know, something Stargate-based. We saw a lot of Phoenix play. In fact, that was, I can't remember which Protoss it was, but that was their winning move to get into the round of 8.
You know, I like, Sean, that you bring up the fact that a lot of times that first match is very important with the chosen build order and everything, and I do want to double underline, highlight, you know, italicize
everything.
The fact that Classic is on SKT1. This is the championship team. This is the best StarCraft 2 team in the world. And you know what? her0's on CJ Entis, who just lost their head coach. Coach Park just left this past week. And you can't tell me that's not going to make a big difference here.
It could. It absolutely could. They do have another coach here, too, so they're still preparing. But SKT1, this is like, I would say, is Classic the mini-boss before Innovation, do you think? Or is he, where would you put him in the tier of gaming world?
I think that Classic is absolutely one of the very best players here, has a decent shot to win the whole tournament. I think that
he's not a mini-boss, you're saying?
No, I think he's a big boss. He's like the second to last boss in the game.
All right, I like it.
I feel like he's the first boss you fight against in Dark Souls. You're like, this is the first boss. He should be easy. And then it takes you 8 hours.
Well, I mean, that would throw our schedule for a pretty big match.
Yes,
as much as I like close StarCraft matches.
That metaphor, it almost got there. Okay, so these players have almost 400 on-stage matches together this year. They're some of the most prolific players throughout the entire year. Artosis, you are an expert on predictions. Who is going to pull out the win in this best of 5?
I truly think Classic is going to take down Hero here. I think it'll be close, but I think Classic's got him.
Well, I believe in the end that Hero is actually going to take it because he's just so solid. Yeah, I changed my mind, you know?
You're allowed that. This is America. You can do whatever you want, man.
Yeah, so I believe Hero is going to take it. I know we talked a lot that Classic is going to take it from my perspective, but
really
coming to
what made you switch though? Because you were saying Classic.
Yeah, yesterday you were just Classic. Yeah. I'm the only Hero guy up here.
Well, I believe he's coming here so solid that even if Classic is going to win game number 1 or game number 2, Hero's just going to pull it back and realize how he can counter him. We were talking about preparation, but pulling through a best of 5 only with preparation is not going to be enough.
One of the interesting things for me, Sean, is that in the WCS, we kind of watch these players all year long. And I think if this tournament was held in March, Hero would be my guy the whole way through. But it's not March. It's probably November. I haven't checked in a while. And I think, actually, Classic is playing the better StarCraft right now. Round of 16, he looks super dominant. We saw a little bit tripping up from Hero. And I think Classic is the guy that, at this BlizzCon, wants to really make a name for himself.
Well, that really is the question. Hero, the player that who so many have said for so long is the #1 most stable, solid Protoss out there. Classic sometimes shows up 4th and 5th on that list. Who's going to be able to pull it off? I'm putting my vote in with Hero. But the players themselves will show us what the outcome's going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get that first match underway. Casters, take it away.
The #1 WCS player for 2015, about to go up against a player that has beaten him in the last 3 Premier tournaments. StarCraft fans around the world, BlizzCon, are you ready?
They should be, Maynard. These are some of the very best, if not the very best StarCraft 2 players that we have in the world here today, ready to play in California, here in Anaheim at BlizzCon. And this is the start. This is the start to find out who is going to be the champion for 2015.
The global finals unfolding right before our very eyes. Game 1 has begun, guys. Let's get into it. Here on Bridgehead, in the leftmost spawn, from CJ Entis, this is Hero! And in the far right spawn, make some noise for SKT1's Classic!
They played on this stage, in this arena, last year at this very stage of the tournament, in the quarterfinals, and it was Classic who denied Hero a place in the semifinals. Will we see history repeat itself again in 2015? Hero mentioned it in the videos before they were ready on stage that he remembers that. He wants to get his revenge, and obviously, this is the perfect setting to do so.
The revenge flame burning in his eyes. I know what that feels like, Apollo. I'm sure you do as well. And it is such a powerful emotion. And it's not just 2014's BlizzCon that Classic gave him a spot of bother. It was in the IM Shansan round of 4, and also recently in the the SSL round of 16. And it's GSL round of 16 beat him 2-1. It's such a close series as well. 2-1, 3-2, 3-2 again.
It's a great mental advantage to have over your opponents who have beaten them in the last 3 major tournaments that you've played in. We're going to start to see the build orders take shape as Hero moves out with his probe in the center of the map to find out what his opponent's up to, and likewise Classic. And momentarily here we will start to see the strategies that both players do choose to go for.
Yep, like ships passing the night, the 2 probes going for their scouts here. And we see pretty standard stuff happening in both mains for both players. Nothing really crazy to report here, except
one thing though.
Yes,
Hero has already sent his probe to the north side of the map. We'll come to that in a second, as Classic is inside his opponent's base, having a quick look around.
He didn't get a full pylon count there.
But there is a pylon on the other side of the map, and Hero looking to start this one aggressive. He's on the other side of the map, and this is looking like it could be a Stargate over the other side to try and get that Oracle into his opponent's base. And now Classic, where is that probe? Another pylon has been built inside Hero's base, which is normal in the visions of Classic.
Yeah, exactly. He sees those 3 pylons and he's like, oh, everything's
correct. And remember, he never saw the probe in the middle of the map, so it's not like he's like, where is that probe? Where is it? No, he doesn't even know there's one out there currently. So at this moment, what defense would Classic have back at home, and will he be prepared to have an Oracle inside his main base? He's chosen his own strategy now.
Yeah, and Hero, that cheeky bugger, cancels that pylon. Getting those extra minerals back as a refund for that Stargate play. And now Classic sending his first gateway unit across the map. It is a Stalker.
So it's going to be 3-gate aggression coming out from Classic against a Stargate across the other side of the map from Hero. Usually in this scenario, because Classic is going to have a lot of gateway units, the Mothership Core is key. It has the photon overcharge. It's going to be able to protect himself a lot, but it's on the other side of the map trying to figure out what exactly Classic's doing. This Mothership Core, is it going to recall? Is it going to fly back? If it recalls, it has no energy for a defense back at home. While on the other side, Classic does have his around, which means he's going to be able to defend against the Oracle. This is becoming a bit of a difficult spot. He forces the recall out.
And a photon overcharge.
It kind of works both ways for both players here, doesn't it? The photon overcharge has been used already here by Classic, so the Oracle can go in when there is not a photon overcharge to defend. But what does Hero have to defend?
You're absolutely right. Just 2 Stalkers here with double the amount coming up the ramp here, with a 5th one coming to the back there, and a very aggressive pylon going up by Classic. And he is already touching the front. One Stalker goes down. Hero already pulling probes, taking this very seriously here.
Absolutely. He's running towards at the front. He's going to lose it instantly. And that goes down. And Classic is starting this one with a bang.
Absolutely. Probe damage going through. And the Oracle has been deflected on the other side of the map. Classic in charge of this game already. And it is looking dire for Hero.
Unfortunately for Hero, he does not have any defense on the other side of the map. His Oracle gets into the middle line doing damage. But does he have enough Stalkers to fight against the army that Classic has built up with just 3 Stalkers and a simple sentry? I don't think he does here, Maynard.
I don't think so either, Apollo. Classic really chose the right thing in this map. The Oracle did nothing else. Nice force fields blocking out half the Stalkers here. A great slice in half. They are still doing the damage though. One Stalker goes down. The sentries are touching up these other Stalkers. The rest will join the fight here.
Hero desperately trying to warp in any units he can to defend against this attack.
As he continues to lose probes, the Stalkers march up the ramp. What is Hero's answer here? Is just trying his hardest. They're starting to lose all of the critical units and probes every second as this game goes on.
Catches a couple of these Stalkers. Remember, Classic is not mining ideally back at home because that Oracle has been floating around. But it looks like Classic does have enough to defend, and that is it. Game 1 goes to Classic.
GG. The series will continue into game number 2. Will Hero tie it up? Or will Classic get into this nerd's head and cause a bit of mischief?
And that is such a good confidence boost here for Classic.
Oh, yeah.
And now he says, I beat you the last 3 times, big times we played. I've taken map number 1 against you here today. And the memories of everything that happened last year must be flooding back to Hero. He decided to take a risk, placing a Stargate on the other side of the map with sending his Mothership Core out to scout his opponent. So his build, his strategy is great aggressively. It's fantastic. But he doesn't have any defense, and the key unit for defending was always going to be that Mothership Core, but it had no energy, it couldn't do its job, and Classic takes that map number 1.
And it's not too bad of a rush distance on Bridgehead. You can get across there with that just the 3-gate aggression, and he was not afraid. He was very confident with that attack, that pylon right by the ramp, and up he went. Even with beautiful force fields, Hero slicing those Stalkers completely in half.
Still
did not have enough. Yeah, an action-packed beginning here. Terraform going to be our second map of the day in this series.
And it's a must-win. It's a must-win for Hero. You cannot be going down 0-2 against a player who's building momentum and has done for the last 12 months against you. So an incredibly important game here for Hero. And it all comes down to decisions, especially in this Protoss versus Protoss game. What build, what strategy is going to get me that 1-1 against Classic?
Well, he has a lot to choose from. I mean, PvP, a very diverse matchup, lots to choose from. And looks like we're going to get into a replay here of game number 1.
So this is the forced photon overcharge that comes out from Classic. Well, not so forced, but more of a defensive one, which pushes Hero's Mothership Core to go home. Now it's lost its energy, it goes to the other side of the map, and there's just nothing to defend. When you invest in a Stargate and an Oracle on the other side of the map, your gateways are late. You don't have enough money to build the same amount of units that Classic has, who doesn't have that Stargate, who doesn't have that Oracle.
And losing this Mothership Core,
even if he bought time to get energy, the Mothership Core's gone in itself. And this was just a dream start here for Classic.
Yeah, and he made it look so simple, but really, these are the two of the best Protosses in the entire world here. They deserve to be here in the round of 8.
Yeah. And at this moment, the Oracle comes in and does a little bit of damage, stopping Classic's income for a slight bit, but eventually the Oracle was going to run out of energy itself and just couldn't keep up that harassment.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. When the Oracle comes in, it doesn't work out. The photon overcharge still there, ruining your day, and, well, Classic just did the rest.
He did the rest, and he did exactly what he needed to do. And, you know, you can't help but feel that Hero did play into his hands a little bit there with the 2 builds that we saw shape up. But now moving forward to Terraform as our beautiful stage takes shape, ready for our next map.
I was just about to say how beautiful that stage is. I watched it from home last year, my virtual ticket, and it's such an honor to be here in person and seeing in person. Everyone in the crowd, you really don't know how amazing this stage and this arena is until you're here in person, and I'm sure everyone here agrees. Terraform here, our next map. Checking out the stats here a little bit before we get into game number 2. Jeez, this is a hard one to call. I'm not surprised there were a lot of different choices there in that prediction from all the talent here.
You know, when you have the best players in the world going up against each other, it is very, very difficult to predict.
Yeah, and in this matchup as well. There's a waterfall under Hero there. Hopefully it's not his tears in a couple games. And we are getting into game number 2, guys. In the top left, from SKT1, currently up 1 map in the series, this is Classic! And in the bottom right, can he tie it up from CJ Entis, the smiling assassin Hero? Got a lot of love here in this crowd in Anaheim. Hero, one of the most likable personalities in esports, not just StarCraft. Loves his fans, loves the game, and he always just seems like he's got the perfect attitude for StarCraft.
Hero's had such a fantastic career when you look back over the years. He started, of course, and always has been on CJ Entis, started in Pro League, picking up a couple of wins here and there, and then the next thing he's found a tournament called the Intel Extreme Masters. He's like, all right, let's have a quick look at that and try to qualify for it. And then the next thing you know, he's playing at the Intel Extreme Masters. He won it 3 times and is the only player to do so. And then there was a little bit of criticism from Korean fans that, yeah, you can win the Intel Extreme Masters, but can you win a tournament in Korea? And then coming into 2015, he said, yes, I can, actually. And then he took Casper Cup #1 earlier on this year. And then towards the second half, of course, he was able to pick up the victory in Star League Season 3. So 2 Korean titles to his name this year. Likewise, Classic's had a lot of wins himself in Korea. He's been able to win the GSL. He's also won Star League as well. But here comes Hero with a bit of an earlier scout, and it's not a scout here that you'd be looking to see a pylon inside your opponent's base. It's more so to find out what exactly his opponent's up to, and he's willing to send the probe early to find out what's going on incredibly fast. He cannot risk a crazy strategy coming out from Classic, which could put him down 2-0.
And it is quite a risk. With lots of paths here on Terraform, and it actually is reasonably simple to drop a proxy and have it go undetected, because you just don't have enough time to scout all of these paths here on this map. And Classic was actually a little bit sneaky as he came down the ramp with that probe, avoiding Hero's probe, getting it around there. And we'll see what both players' plan is as the game unfolds. Very standard so far, but we just really don't know until that extra pylon goes down.
Exactly. Chronobo's coming into the Stalker here from Classic to be able to push his opponent's probe out so he can now choose his choice of strategy. But we are waiting to find out what is going to happen. Both have seen a lot, and now they both go into the dark. They don't really know what's the follow-up from both. Just a quick reminder for some of you at home as well, if you do want to vote on who you think is going to win this series, do include the hashtag Classic and hashtag Hero with hashtag WCS, and you can feature in the show.
It truly is that simple, Apollo, to get your name up here on the screen. And we can see that a Stargate is going down for Classic. Now, Classic actually loves Stargate play. He actually does it. I think 50% of his PvPs, he drops that Stargate.
And Hero is trying to get back into his opponent's main base here, but there is a Stalker protecting and will deny the scout here. So Classic remains, Hero, remains in the dark with this Stargate down. And on the other side, Hero has chosen a very fast robotics facility.
He was going to make a Twilight Council. You can see the shadow there, and then he changed his mind, dropped the Robo instead. So perhaps being a little bit more defensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very safe build, right? The robotics facility offers observers. Great for any Dark Templar builds if there's to come out. He can build Immortals eventually for any, blink attacks or gateway attacks, offering him great protection. And then even 2 gateways, which offer him even more unit production. And then you can probably safely expand off the back of all these key structures together. On the other side, though, Classic, with this Stargate, the Oracle has been made, and he's obviously going to be looking to do a bit of damage.
And dropping a Twilight Council as well for Classic, going very tech-heavy here as a decision.
Right, so the Oracle, let's give you an example, gets into the mineral line, kills 15 workers, and cuts Hero's economy in half, and then he can follow up with a blink attack or something along those lines. That's what he's planning, but obviously he's got to get damage done first.
3 Stalkers come straight off that ramp. Good reaction time here from Hero as he tries to shoo away that flying pesky Oracle here from Hero.
Gets 3 probe kills. He could have used Photon Overcharge on that Mothership core, but chose to save the energy.
I like that.
And I think that was a good choice. He probably could have killed the Oracle, to be honest. But he really wants to play this fully safe in case this is going to be a big attack.
Oh, wow. Hero going all the way across the map and dropping a proxy Stargate.
It's incredibly risky.
7-minute mark. And he's going to see it.
Is he?
Oh, no.
It is risky.
His path. Oh, wow. Ooh. Oh, my God. And there's 3 Stalkers catching the Oracle in the middle map. They won't get it. It is quite zippy, but the real story is this huge, risky decision here from Hero.
I mean, he's building an army. He's got an Immortal charging to the other side of the map. He's got 3 additional Stalkers he just walked in, and then he has that Stargate to build an Oracle. And he's noticing here that Classic has expanded. So Hero's going to put the pressure on. There are 2 force fields available here, which one does get used just in time.
Yeah, 2 Stalkers stuck up here on the top. One looks like it's going to go down to a Zealot. And the other's just going to touch up that natural here as the Immortal comes up. The Immortal's taking so much damage from the Oracle, the whole walk over, so he can take it out with an Oracle.
2 Oracles have done enough damage to take down a key unit there in the Immortal. And this attack has fallen a little bit flat on its face here with the Nexus finishing up.
Yeah.
There is a Mothership core, obviously, so he's going to be able to use the Photon Overcharge.
He has quite a few Stalkers. Nexus about to finish here. One goes down the retreat. He's made a Phoenix as well.
Hero, is it nerves getting to him? He's falling apart here. There's going to be a Photon Overcharge soon to protect this Nexus.
Yeah, any second now. Both Oracles still alive as well on the other side of the map.
Hero has to do damage. He has no second base. Classic has one there, and he's going to start to bring in a lot of money very fast. He even has a blink upgrade on the way. Hero's got to get some stuff done.
Absolutely. It's actually going to be game if he doesn't do quite a bit of damage here. Critical damage even. 1 Oracle coming here from the proxy Stargates. And let's see how much he can get done. There is a warp in here. Classic has spotted it. Losing 1 probe and just engaging it with Stalkers. Hero concentrating on this attack in the natural. Classic is all over this though.
He pushed back here. 2 Stalkers to remain inside the main base to defend against that Oracle. And Hero up against it now, warps in another set of units, but Classic is chasing him down when it's meant to be Hero who has to be the aggressor here.
And Classic comes back. Nice reaction there. Gonna shoo away 1 Oracle. The Phoenix coming in and take it out. Finally, that Oracle goes down, but I mean, is it going to be enough?
Well, Photon Overcharge is going to go down very soon here for Classic. He warps in another set of units, and it looks like he's going to sacrifice this second base.
Okay.
He feels if he tries to protect it, he may lose the entire game if he was to lose his army. He has a blink upgrade on the way. So he's saying, okay, you don't have blink. I'll let you kill my Nexus, but can you combat an army with blink very shortly?
Well, with enough Stalkers, maybe, but it doesn't have that much more than Classic. The rest of the Stalkers are off camera in the main here, waiting for this battle. 7 in total.
So does Classic now flip the switch, go aggressive himself to use his blink upgrade? Hero's going to retreat, and you can imagine him falling back to an expansion. He's killed his opponents.
Yeah, it actually doesn't quite have enough for a Nexus, so he's just pulling back. Blink is done now for Classic, and he takes his Nexus very comfortably.
And now that blink has been 100% revealed. If Hero did not know about it already, he does now. And here comes Hero to settle down and try to slow the pace of the game down. He doesn't have blink. He cannot be out on the map anymore. He does have the powerful units that we do see with the Immortals now building up one by one. And this game, though, as high level and aggressive as it's been, it is going to slow down a lot.
Is indeed. So both players licking each other's wounds, just going to reset their jaws and get things back in action here and really settle down and think about their next game plan. What is the mid to late game in PvP for them on Terraform?
Correct. And at this stage of StarCraft, when it has slowed down at this level, the things you've got to take notice are how many workers does each player have after the aggression's finished? It's 24 for Hero, 33 for Classic. The Nexus, the second Nexus, they're both very similar in its time at the moment when it's about to complete. So Hero is going to be behind when it comes to his economy simply because Classic has 10 workers more than him. Upgrade starting a little bit earlier for Classic on top of that, as well as Hero's Forge is only just halfway through. But the army sizes is a little bit in favor of Hero, right? Because he has been the aggressor throughout. So there's that 12 army difference between the two of them.
He has those extra Stalkers, but as you can see in the production tab, with Classic's extra income, this is an economy-based game. He can afford things, Forge upgrades, the robotics facility going down, the robotics bay going down for the Colossus upgrades.
Yeah, well, with money you can buy things,
With money
right?
you can buy things.
Yeah, you can buy things.
A lot of people have nicer cars than we do.
That's right. And, you know, the robotics bay coming in now, Hero is also doing that, but he's not building units at the same time. He's fallen a little bit behind in this game. And looks like he is going to ask for a quick pause here as the mid-game of this map number 2 is starting to develop. And it's a tense game between these two. It's a great PvP. We obviously started up, if you're just tuning in, with a very risky strategy from Hero in game number 1, which Classic defended and then went on to win. And now Hero fights not to fall 0-2 behind here in this best of 5.
Yeah, this one a fair bit closer, a bit more scrappy than the first one. The first one was kind of a knockdown and towards the end there, and it happens when you get the better choice, the build order, or the better timing. So Classic in a better econ advantage, Hero with a better army advantage, but both of them going back home. What does this mean when you're the econ advantage guy?
Well, he's going to have obviously a lot more money. He's going to be faster with his upgrades, faster with his key units such as the Colossus. He's going to start to be thinking, do I use this advantage for an attack? Do I look to use my advantage to take a third base? Remember, he also has this blink upgrade that Hero doesn't have. So there's a lot of small edges right now that we do see in favor. And here is the replay from a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, this isn't the actual game, guys. Just a replay here from earlier.
Yeah, and this is where the heat of the battle really started to take shape as Hero was on the other side of the map needing to do damage here. And to be honest, he didn't do enough. This was a key moment, though.
This was amazing. Getting that immortal so damaged with those oracles, like that's the Stalker killer right there, and he's already dead without doing anything.
If the Stalkers were protecting the Immortal would have offered a lot of damage output to continue the aggression that he had planned, but it's an expensive unit, and it's not just the unit cost, right? It's the robotics facility that you need to build the unit from, and it just didn't work out so well for Hero. But if you were Classic at the moment, this is a great start to Friday at BlizzCon. It's a great start.
It's a bloody good Friday,
It's a bloody good Friday for him so far.
It is, and I love my Fridays. All right.
I know you do.
Oh, yes. And in the top left here, so we're going back into the game. This is the live feed now. Robotics play done now for Classic. He can take up, and Hero sees all of it here with his observer.
Yeah, so he sees that, you know, his opponent started Colossus production already. He's going to go down to the natural with his observer, the second base, and see that his pro cap's a lot higher as well. So he's not going to be feeling too good. The observer comes from Classic here to block out any more vision granted to Hero. And look the way that Classic's used his mobility through the blink upgrade. And also the fact that he's just in the lead. He said, well, you can't really attack me at this moment. I'll take this third base to further his economy and technology even more.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, okay, you have Blink, but you are not cracking this walnut. He has 2 Immortals at the back there and a lot of Stalkers.
And remember that Hero hadn't saw that third base, but he has just now with a hallucinated Phoenix that hovered over the third. Hero knows exactly what's going on now. He knows his opponent got a little bit of a lead in the early game. He's also now seen that this third base has gone down. The question comes for Hero, how does he tackle it?
Well, he has to, because Classic is his choice as the econ advantage player is to try and push that advantage even further by expanding again, and it's getting more income.
I'm looking at Classic though. Classic has shown this third, which for everyone says, okay, yeah, he's going to take his advantage in this third base right now, but he's also got a lot of gateways coming in, and is starting to power up his army a little bit, especially with the Templar Archives coming in, to drop his gas into Archons, really buffering up the army. Archons at the front obviously going to tank a lot of damage and allow the Colossus and other units at the back to continue to stay alive and do more damage.
It's an excellent endgame army. I mean, you're missing the Tempest, but the Archons are really the second to last sort of ingredient you want there in the just head-to-head fights here.
What we're looking at is Classic potentially looking to strike when his +2 attack completes. He's 4 Zealots, 2 Templar, 4 an Archon. He's stopped worker production, and he knows at this moment, in a StarCraft game, when you're behind, you're trying to be greedy, try to find a way to get the same economy that your opponent has. And while Hero is trying to do that, it looks like Classic could attempt a strike into Hero, which could work well with this +2 attack upgrade that Hero doesn't have.
Exactly. Hitting timings is how you get a lot of your wins in StarCraft, and +2 is definitely a good time to do it. So just about to finish here for Classic. Heroes has only just started. He's not really in position to start any kind of attack, though.
Both have a very similar army size. You can see at the bottom here, 72 to 70. It is very similar. And Hero, out in the middle of the map, he's going to walk into a +2 attack upgraded army, so this isn't ideal for Hero.
He's finding here for Hero. He really wants his third Nexus, but there is just too much Classic here. Go home, Hero.
Yeah, he walks up there, he's like, oh, I actually can't fight into that. And is going to have to back out. He didn't use recall, so he didn't escape immediately. So he does still have a Photon Overcharge available, a Time Warp available from this. But look at the supply. 156 to 116. 30 army supply advantage now for Classic.
He's ahead in every single way in this game right now. Hero really needs to pull something out here.
8 gateways to 6 as well, so there's an additional 2 warp-ins available for Classic over Hero, who's trying to muster together these 2 additional gateways to equal up with Classic, and Hero's in trouble.
He is in big trouble.
He's got to get this +2 attack upgrade, Maynard. I mean, I answered that before you could ask the question, but he's got to get +2 attack. He's got to be in a defensive position.
I was literally about to ask you, what does Hero do at this point? Because I honestly do not know. He is quite in a detriment here. We see the votes coming in here. Thank you, all you guys on the social networking, hashtagging Classic and Hero with WCS. Looks like 52% people are going to be looking pretty good as this second game continues.
Okay, big moment about to happen. Hero must defend up on his third base. He doesn't know exactly where Classic is at this moment, but he will find out soon. If he does not, he finds out now. The Phoenix shows it. If he does not defend this, he loses his third and essentially loses map number 2 and goes down 0-2 in a best-of-5. This is it. This is a huge moment for Hero.
He's got the Archons. He's warping in here. The meat and potatoes of his army is back there, and he loses 2 Zealots immediately. The Archon's going to make a difference here as well. Classic going to pull back here, waiting for that extra Colossus.
Yeah, waiting for an extra Colossus, an additional set of warp-ins. Hero has some small squad here looking to do damage, but there's a War Prism that comes in.
Oh my god. He drops the Zealots on top of the Immortals, doing some damage there. The Stalkers are going to get tussled up here. They blink over the Immortals.
Hero splitting up his force here, not too sure. He was maybe trying to force a distraction or to get the focus away from Classic. Got his third!
Oh my god, the third is taking heal damage, the second hull damage now. Hero is coming up, he does have quite a few units. Can he push it back though? The Nexus is gone and recoils away. Classic is in an amazing position.
He has an additional base now, an additional set of income, a Warp Prism to threaten at all times, to warp in, keep Hero at home. Classic is absolutely nailing this quarterfinal. He's 3-0 Bjorn in the round of 16, and he's looking absolutely world-class come today.
Absolutely. This game number 2 is looking all his. Will the series be his? Hero desperately trying to retake his third Nexus, clutching at straws here. But look at the differences in the income.
Yep.
Look at the differences in the army supply. It's just...
For every minute that goes by, that's an additional 30 minerals to Classic, an additional 200 gas. It's a fantastic position to be in now. And Hero is really forced in a difficult spot. Notice how Classic says, okay, you do have quite a few Colossus like me, but I'm going to move my tech further because of the amount of money that I have. I'm going to build a Stargate, an additional one that is. I'm going to add the Fleet Beacon. I'm going to get to the Tempests, and they will soon start to one-shot, Colossus down over and over and over. And that is the real damage dealer from Hero's army.
He's making the right decisions here. I mean, a great man here in the venue today that we'll be hearing from soon did say that when you're ahead, get further ahead. And Classic is doing exactly that right now.
He's nailing it, Maynard. He's playing absolutely wonderful today. And the Hero is in trouble, and he really needs to find some magic to turn this game around. And I don't know what that is.
Yeah, honestly, we aren't that good at Protoss, Apollo. We just can't make this decision. Hero's going to have to make it for all of us here today. There's just a little hit squad here of Blinkstalkers picking away a very expensive unit there. Just small little things like that. Classic just getting that more and more of an edge as the second game continues.
Of course, mistakes can happen in StarCraft. So Classic can still mess this up. Absolutely. He can, you know, throw away his army, throw away this lead. One wrong decision, one bad positioning in a fight. Well, and things can change. So maybe Hero needs to rely on his opponent making a mistake, but as you can see, the Tempest count, he's about to have 6 in the next 30 seconds.
3 at a time coming out, and that is the death knell for a Colossus heavy army right there.
And a 4th base as well. Hero now sees it. So he's now seeing what he's up against, and you can only think to imagine him up on stage now in that booth with a bit of a sigh, knowing that he's up against the wall at this moment. And what does he do? Like another move he attempts, that's 800 minerals.
Completely countered here by Classic. Three cannons and just the same amount of Zealots walked in to shut this down.
All right, Hero moves south. He's got Zealots at the north, and his key armies at the south here. He's going to try a bit of a sneaky move, but there are 2 Zealots in spot. It looks like he was trying to gun to kill this fort and get out. That's a nice move if he can pull this off.
Yeah, Classic is just going to walk down there. Doesn't want to recall or anything like that.
Yeah. Imagine...
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, hello.
Hello, mate.
Recalls into this Nexus, and he's going to take a fight directly. Hero cannot fight this army yet.
And there's a bit of a run by with the Zealots here. Classic's army is distracted here at the 4th. And moves like this is how you try and get back into the game when you're pretty far behind. He gets 1 Stargate, and he's trying to do critical damage. He hasn't done it just yet, though. You
know, you've got to imagine that the Hero fans are getting a bit of feeling back for this, because he pulls Classic's army south and then attacks with a bunch of Zealots into the second base and the natural now, destroying the Stargate and just forcing a reaction of a defense here.
That's right.
Well, he's trying to build up to his own Tempest count, or Void Rays. He's choosing Void Rays. He's going to try and completely overpower this.
Okay.
But he needs time to pull this off.
That's right.
He needs, you know, at least 6 Void Rays, you'd imagine, if he is going to stick on Void Rays. So right now, it's a game of buying time to surprise his opponent with a bunch of Void Rays. And that decision from Hero is what he believes the way to pull this game around.
Yeah, I was about to say exactly that. You need to make Classic not kill you right now so that you can get up that incredible tech to try and counter or even match that he's even trying to get his 4th up.
Yeah.
They're at the gold, just trying to pull ahead with anything he can claw.
It's a risky game, though, what Hero's playing. With buying time, he's got to run around with his army. Imagine if a single Templar popped the mothership core with its feedback ability and destroying it. The army is stuck on the other side of the map. That's what Hero's relying on. If I get in a sticky position, I'll recall out.
And this army from Classic is so scary.
Okay, Hero's going to move in.
Here he goes. Hero's going to hit the natural Classic through the middle of the map.
What does Classic do? Does he recall back to come defend, or does he move forward and try to attack?
He actually looks like he's going to lose the Nexus here, and possibly more as Hero goes up the front door. Rogue's going down here, and it looks like he's pulling the Tempest to go for the attack here on the 4th, and using the rest of the army to walk home. He's not recalling.
He has now...
There he is.
And Hero's going to sacrifice his gold base. It's undefendable at this point. Some harassment units to pick off this 4. And Hero does not want to engage before the Void Rays are ready, and that's okay for him. I think he'd be happy with that if he can buy some more time.
He's forced to recall. He can do a little bit of free damage there, and as soon as the unit's there, look at that firepower of Classic explode.
You can't help but feel, and maybe some Classic fans are like, why have you not sent a hallucinated Phoenix or some form of scout into the main base of Hero to try to figure out what he's doing behind all of this? The Void Rays have still not been revealed.
He's about to see them, I think, with these 3 zealots.
There's the Void Rays. Does Hero feel confident to take a fight? Does he think that he has enough now? He's got 6-ish. I think it was 6.
6-ish.
And now he's trying to hide them away from the pylons.
There goes that Warp Prism. He can't reinforce his army. Hero's actually losing very expensive units here for free at the back. And here comes the rest of Classic's army. Does he have enough to engage here? Classic is actually decimating Hero right now. Oh boy. A lot of his army is going down to pieces, and GG! Classic goes 2-0 in the series. He's 1 game away from the semifinals. And Hero needs to reset his mentality and just reset the series in his mind. And forget those first 2 games.
Yep.
The next 3 games is what he needs to think about here.
I'm sure when Classic saw those Void Rays, he's like, hold on a second. Hold on a second, but it wasn't good enough from Hero. He tried something, but Classic, 2 games up. He defeated, as we've already mentioned once today, defeated Hero in the quarterfinals at this very stage of the tournament last year at the global finals here at BlizzCon. He then went on to meet Hero again in the Intel Extreme Masters semi-finals in Shenzhen during the summer of this year, where he defeated him for the 2nd time. And then they even met in the round of 16 of GSL, where Classic defeated him for the 3rd time in 12 months. And this is now an exact rematch from that game they played 12 months ago, and Classic is doing everything right.
Well, we're going to get into Cactus Valley for our 3rd map, and I tell you what, Apollo, one thing that all those series had in common that Classic won were that they were very, very close. Can Hero tie this up to 2 apiece? I'm sure a lot of Heroes fans out there in Twitch chat and here in the venue today would love to see that. I would love to see that, because more games of StarCraft, the better, if you ask me.
Absolutely, who doesn't want to see Hero do a cartwheel on stage? But the thing is, when looking at Classic, is he is such a good player. Here's the start of the game once again, where it started in such an aggressive manner.
Yeah, very scrappy.
And of course, this replay provided to us by Windows 10 with our DVR function.
I didn't even know that exists before he came here. That's really, really cool to see. And we see more attacks here. So that scrappy game, everyone had to lick their wounds and come back here and then start hitting each other and making the decisions, going around the map, circumventing each other's armies, trying to get free damage wherever they could. And here was a great move from Classic, dumping right on top of those Immortals. And just a little bit of a blink juke there. Great action-packed game number 2. And it got into the very, very late game. Plenty of Tempest coming out for Classic, and this was a critical moment here. Getting this 3rd Nexus made him pull so far ahead at that point of the game.
Yeah, it was a great play from Classic, and unfortunately for Classic throughout his career, Maynard, is no matter what he does, if he wins a GSL, if he wins a Star League, people still don't look at him as a player that could win this tournament. There obviously are a couple of people out there who do believe in him.
Classic believers.
The vast majority of players would have said Hero was the favorite for this series, but
absolutely.
Classic again continues to scream and shout at his fans worldwide, or at fans of StarCraft worldwide, notice me, I am God tier.
You're my hero. There you are. Oh, this crowd is beautiful. The stadium is beautiful. And my God, I cannot wait for Game of 3, and we're about to get into it.
Oh, yes, I mean, we're having a lot of fun here, and it's always good to be back at BlizzCon, and, you know, it's the build-up of each year. You know, every single StarCraft fan worldwide at the start of the year, if not as soon as the old BlizzCon finishes, it's the road to BlizzCon, and that's what we always look forward to, and we're all happy to be here at the Global Finals once again, where we will crown another world champion. We could crown the first 2-time world champion this weekend, with both Life and SOS still in the tournament.
Wow, so many returning champions here. Just goes to show you how stacked this tournament is.
Yeah, and we're going to have back-to-back games all day long, of course. We have 4 best-of-5s to give to you today. Our next one, after this current one is over, is going to be the highlight game of the day that everybody is looking forward to. It will be, of course, the current best player in the world, Innovation, against the reigning world champion of 2014, Life. Everyone's looking forward to that one.
I am absolutely going to be going bananas backstage when I'm watching that game.
Yep.
It is so hyped for me. And look at that trophy. That is what it's all about here, being the world champion. And you were talking a little bit about Classic's obscurity. If he wins that trophy here this weekend,
oh man,
it is gone.
He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry happy tears. Everyone wants their hands on that trophy. Of course, throughout the year, you've got your 3 GSL seasons, you've got your 3 WCS seasons, you've got your 3 Star League seasons, of course, multiple global events throughout the year, but it is all about this, to play in front of this crowd, to play on that stage. This is a dream for every StarCraft player worldwide.
It is absolutely a dream. And it is so good to watch it unfold. It is always the highest level StarCraft consistently every year here at BlizzCon, and it gets better and better. And this road isn't just the end of 2015, it's the end of Heart of the Swarm. And we take a new path into Legacy of the Void, a very, very important moment in the history of StarCraft 2.
There is that wonderful trophy.
Yeah, and a couch.
We had to trim a little bit of fat off it. As you may notice, Life couldn't quite pick it up last year, but this year we're making it nerd friendly so that they can pick it up.
If you're a skinny nerd that doesn't really lift, but you're amazing on ladder, that trophy is just right for you.
It's just right for you. So Classic did pop to the bathroom. He is back inside his booth now, as I can see behind me, so we will get game number 3 underway in a second. It's actually, funny enough, even though it was Classic who stepped away from his computer, it's her0 who still is not in the game lobby, and that already tells me that he's thinking, he's talking with his coach, and he has to, as you said, reset everything. He's got to calm down. But if you look back to the round of 16, he did lose game number 1 against Fantasy 2 and did go down there, but managed to turn it around 3 games in a row. This is obviously a little bit different.
A little bit.
A little bit different.
So yeah, I mean, he has that team and that infrastructure, and the important people here for him today are looking after their very, very important player. And you were talking about him, talking to his coach and coming down. Speaking of staff and teams, SKT1, let's talk about them.
Every single player, well, 2 players currently still in the tournament, Innovation and Classic, are probably the most prepared players for this tournament. They have a world-class team, a world-class set of coaches.
And extremely successful.
It would be a literal dream to be on that team.
It would. As your little pro gamer heart would just blossom with glee as you get that SKT1 letter in the mail. And we are getting into Cactus Valley here, our 3rd map. Hopefully not the final map for her0 fans.
It's a dangerous map, though. It's
a 4-player spawn.
You can hide pylons anywhere. You can put proxy structures all over the map. This is a dangerous map for her0.
Yeah, especially in this matchup. So let's get into it, guys. Game number 3 on this amazing stage that changes with every single map. That is so sick. And the bottom left here, from SKT1, 1 game away. This is Classic. And in the top right corner spawn, from CJ Entis, if you want him to tie us up, make some noise for her0! There is an easy ask, and that is to get those her0 fans excited about this player, even when he's this far down. He has come back before. Will he again?
Well, he is playing an absolutely beast of a Protoss player in Classic who continued to impress. His dominance in the round of 16 when he went up against Bjol was marvelous to watch. An easy 3-0, which really not that many people thought would happen, especially considering the form that Bjol has been in the last 9 months. But Classic 3-0'd him. Absolutely mind-blowing. And he's come into this one undefeated, going 2-0 so far against her0. And he's having the tournament that you'd cross your fingers on the aeroplane ride over here that you could have. Please let me play my best. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of prestige to play at the global finals. And he's riding that wave.
He is absolutely. A lot of feelings. It's a very, very mental game here. And let's talk about this map a little bit. Both players are the furthest they could possibly be from each other here. The cross spawns here on Cactus Valley.
Yeah, so it's a nice big map, and if it gets to the mid-late game, we could see a long, drawn-out game, and a very similar army composition to what we saw in the previous one, but obviously not with a landslide of an advantage in favor of Classic. But at the same side, it is easy to proxy structures in the early game, which we are currently in. But will that be the case? Because it doesn't seem so far.
Yeah, he's just going for the scout here with the probe, not dropping anything proxy. I mean, her0 did put the pile on the very, very edge of his main here, but that's not for anything in particular.
Yeah, Classic's going to enter the main base now with her0, and we'll have a look around and see a very regular setup. Down to the pylons that are inside the main base, if you even care to look, but he knows that this is just a pretty standard opening coming out from her0, and he's going to retreat out. This is the chance now for Classic to throw something down if he wanted to. It would be a little bit late and also a little bit predictable, knowing that the probe is somewhere just outside her0's base.
Yeah, he didn't go directly home, so we'll see what that probe is up to, but her0, he's a man who likes his blink upgrade, Apollo, and he's dropping that Twilight Council very, very early.
Yeah, he's got that blink pin on his chest from the Star League victory.
Yeah.
So we'll more than likely see that upgrade. Of course, he could go Dark Templar, but Blink is usually the way that we see players branch out. But Classic, double gateways coming down. Very similar to how we played in game number 1. But the probe has been spotted. This is a nice find for her0. When a player is planning an aggressive tactic like we'd see out of Classic.
Oh. And Classic 1 for 1 there.
Doesn't want to let that probe escape, really.
Not really, no.
But there are a couple of Stalkers out in the middle of the map here for Classic to protect it.
Oh, actually, yeah, the probe may live. No! One more shot from death. 4 hit points remaining.
And already you start to worry for her0 because his mothership core's on the other side of the map again, scouting in a very similar way to the previous game. Will he have enough defense at home? He has the blink upgrade on its way.
And he's trying to get a robotics facility as well. Just in case it goes mass Stalker here.
We're gonna see pressure come out from Classic.
her0 gone back home. Another probe coming out here is definitely going to be picked away from the Stalkers. Does see that he's up against 2 so far.
I mean, her0's mothership core is going to scout, and that's all it's going to do. There's a photon overcharge available here for Classic to push this out, like we saw previously. It goes in. It's going to do a little bit of damage, if any. It's a pure scout, and he sees 3 gateways and robotics facilities, so he doesn't know what he's up against.
And Classic just goes home. Doesn't make his proxy pylon.
Yeah.
And her0, as a result, looking like he's about to take his natural.
Indeed he does. So Classic doesn't be too, he's not going to be too aggressive here. He hasn't continued to warp in units. He does have quite a lot of Stalkers, quite a lot of units overall. But he does not know exactly what her0's up to, which is the key factor here in his probably decision to turn around. And it is going to be an expansion from her0 then.
So things calming down in the early game here. Very dangerous early game. If Classic decided to commit to an aggressive 3-gate pressure, he could have...
He could have done some damage for sure, but his 2s are up. He's not going to run any risks. He didn't really know exactly what he's playing against. He's fallen back to his robotics facility. He's got the Observer out. He's got Immortals beginning production before his Nexus is even planted down. He's very safe, very secure.
That's right, he's got those sentries to make expanding a little bit easier for him, and the Immortals obviously going to make him feel a lot better against Blink Stalkers, which I'm sure he knows her0 loves. And there's her0 dropping a proxy pylon.
Yeah, so, I mean, the proxy pylon used for multiple different scenarios here. If he wants to launch an attack randomly at Classic here, or more so planned from here, but randomly in Classic's eyes, it could be for scouting purposes, obviously, so can't read too much into it. Just spot it nice and early on.
That's right, hallucinated Oracle here from Classic, getting across the map for a little bit of a look-see, and he's an observer as well. And both players just being passive, just sitting back pretty with their heavy-hitting units. The force field's very, very important when you're expanding and trying to stay alive.
Yep. Blink was revealed there to the Oracle and to Classic's eyes.
That's right. Forge going down here to get those upgrades up, and also the robotics bay right away there from her0.
Yeah, and the way that Classic has played this quite safe. Obviously, he had a larger army supply for a much longer time in this game. He wasn't able to get things as fast as her0 has. With the Forge down now, he's going to start that +1 attack very shortly. Robotics bay, a little bit faster as well here. So the way that Classic has played safe has kind of hurt his mid-game a little bit. Not too much, but he's a little bit slower than her0 in some ways. Upgrade-wise, technology-wise.
That's absolutely right. Still, just both players powering ahead, but we are starting to see what their game plan is. And
right.
It looks like, I love the idea here to get that Warp Prism out for her0. He's so good with it. His multitask is incredible.
Absolutely.
Going for harassment while powering up, or even trying to stay home.
I mean, think about it. Classic doesn't have Blink, doesn't have a Stargate. It's kind of difficult to deal with a Warp Prism bringing in units to your opponent's main base.
Yeah.
The key part of this game now, in every Protoss versus Protoss, and to be honest, the other matchups as well, at this point of the game, don't get tunnel vision. Scout, figure out, know what your opponent's up to, and if you do, it makes decisions so much easier. And you can say that from ground level up to the highest and the best pro gamer in the world. And right now, Classic has spotted that third base. Good scout from him. Hero can use hallucinate Phoenixes of his own, which he's got just one escaping there, which saw the third Nexus. It goes into the natural. Both players getting vision on exactly what their opponent's up to.
That's right, and it's both going up to 3 Nexus, really hitting that mid game, and just leaving each other alone for now. But that said, Warp Prism out did make it across the map. It went past the vision of Classic's Observer.
Yes.
But, I mean, sometimes, even when you're the best player in the world, you miss that critical second in the minimap and it just swings past there.
The Warp Prism could do a lot.
It could.
It could. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see how Hero plans to use it.
It's just sitting pretty here. Hero also taking the Vision Tower here in the middle of the Xel'Naga Watchtower. Weaves Blink upgraded Stalkers, heading across the map, seeing whatever he can get done here, perhaps multi-pronging with the Warp Prism as well.
Yeah, he's going to have a look where his opponent's army is. Obviously, this isn't an attack with just 4 Stalkers. He sees the army out the front there. He's trying to perhaps allow his Stalkers into the main base, but he is just going to have a look around. Sees additional gateways finishing up here.
Yep, taking it easy, not making, because he knows a critical mistake here means the end of his tournament life. It is that serious.
Absolutely, and imagine if Classic was to move into the middle of the map, that Warp Prism could warp in a lot of Zealots, and he could end up killing the Nexus. That's the kind of threat that this Warp Prism will provide, but we'll see.
5 more gateways going down for Hero. Looks like he's going to change gears here a little bit and start making some of those Stalkers and getting the important ground units out as well.
Yeah, he's going to go to 8 gateways. So imagine 8 Zealots being warped in and maybe a second round. He could destroy this Nexus. A quick poke here from Hero.
Yeah, just with 4 Stalkers, not a Nexus killing amount of Stalkers, but they do cause Classic to move his army up to that 3rd.
Yeah, a little victory, killing a pylon. Seeing exactly where your opponent is with a 3rd.
Damage is damage.
Yep, damage is damage. Classic does poke into the main base, has a quick look. Likewise does Hero, still keeping tabs on where they both are in this game. But it is very equal at this moment. You can look at how equal it is by the supply at the bottom, by the worker supply, by the army supply. The one big difference is that Warp Prism, though, and you're going to have to keep repeating it. It could kill an entire Nexus.
Absolutely. And there is a slight upgrade difference. Charge coming a little bit earlier here for Classic.
Yeah.
For those Zealots, which is a critical unit for the big engagements towards the end. And Hero, another structure he loves. The Dark Shrine going down there at the natural.
Yeah, imagine a Zealot Dark Templar attack to this 3rd base, which does not have detection. Panic. So, and he's setting up ready for it now. The Warp Prism very close to being in range of Classic's Observer.
Which is not very far away from that 3rd as well if he does get attacked.
Look at that.
Ah, there you go.
Just, that's a mark of a very good play, knowing that at this stage of the game, when my opponent's on 3 bases, he has a lot of money. And with a lot of money, clearly one pathway he could go with having Blink and the Twilight Council already is Dark Templar. So he's looking to cover his bases from that threat. But Hero, right now, Maynard, by the looks of it, if he can drag and get the focus of Classic's attention and army somewhere else, it looks like he may strike with that Warp Prism. It's going to be a very technical move. Yeah. We'll see if he can pull this off.
He needs to time it just right here. The Mothership Core full of energy, can recall if things get dicey.
Absolutely. So I'd be expecting a Warp In coming soon.
There it is. The Warp In is coming down at the 3rd with that Warp Prism. Pokes down, gets that pylon. Classic has a nice concave here between the 3rd and the natural, which is deflecting the ground army of Hero. But the harassment units and the Warp Prism are coming in.
Yeah, he doesn't go for the 3rd. He's going to drop into the natural here. Sees the cannon. That's a pretty solid defense.
Yeah,
I mean, he had cannons. He has his units not too far away, and that is solid. That is nice from Classic.
That's the Fortress of Classic, completely deflecting that attack there. Hero has 1 Blink Stalker in the main, but he's just looking around. He loses it to a Zealot.
And at this point, Hero is like, well, that could have been amazing, but it wasn't. So never mind, let's go to my next plan.
That was kind of my thing.
So he's thrown down his 4th Nexus and gone into Stargate, so he's going to go up towards the Fleet Beacon, towards his Tempest production. Likewise, Classic, and 2 giants butting heads at this moment. Neither can find weakness.
That's right, they are both so very strong and still so very close here, as neither has really had that big critical engagement or done critical damage. It's just been a scrape here and there, a little bit, a poke at best.
Hero going to try something else. There is an Observer here, though, so this shouldn't work at all. I mean, it gives enough time for Classic to get back in position. He already sees the armor, so...
he's perfectly aware.
Yeah, perfectly aware.
Peekaboo. So another Warp Prism here from Hero. Will this one be slightly more effective? It's loaded up with Zealots. Can warp in Dark Templar as well if he wanted to, but... I mean, he does have the structure. Dark Templar haven't really come to play here, but hold that thought. Engagement does go down. He recalls before losing too much, but he did lose a chunk of his gateway.
He did lose a chunk there. He did indeed. He lost about 20 supply almost. But here comes the War Prism.
And he's going to get the robotics facility, Apollo. The Colossus doesn't make it out either. Digging in the Templar Archives as well. These are actually critical structures being taken out here by Hero.
And the robotics base just to the left-hand side as well.
They are lined up very nicely for these 4 DTs.
And after 18 minutes of these two players not doing too much, finally, Hero strikes weakness with 4 Dark Templar.
Will he get the Forge as well? That's the +3 upgrade, Apollo. And it does go down. A great pick up there from Hero. And he's going to get the Nexus with the Zealots as well. It's going to be so close. And it's going to go down. Incredible damage from Hero.
When it matters the most, Hero turns up the heat, and that was a perfect attack. The Warp Prism, the Dark Templar, he got 3 key structures, and on top of that, his opponent's 4th Nexus. That slows Classic down a lot. That hurts, that stings, and Hero has now got an advantage in this game. He's got his Tempest on the way, and that is exactly what he needed, and confidence to say, yes, you can compete with Classic here today.
And it looks like Hero has a fortress of his own, deflecting Classic on the back here. Look at the army supply difference. 133 for Classic and 94 for Hero. Classic still can do amazing damage here.
Absolutely. As good as the move that was, it wasn't cheap. He's tried multiple times to get some damage done. He has to be careful here. He's got to get his Tempest ready. He does have a slightly weaker army as this current point stands. Is he going to be able to defend this position?
That
and
is
this
a lot
one as well.
Absolutely. More armies coming in for Classic. Actually, the Colossus taking a lot of damage here from Hero. And he's taken 1 down, nearly 2, and he's caused Classic for a full retreat.
And can he defend this, though?
He has Dark Templar defensively.
Yeah. 2 Dark Templar, a couple of cannons, his army not far away. It looks like this should be fine, and that's a great defense from Hero.
Making the right decisions here. Looks like he's starting to shut out his first 2 games. As he's moving across the map, Classic losing more important units here.
There was a 40 army supply advantage for Classic. Look at it now. It's completely flipped its head.
Absolutely. And now the army supply is completely even, 100 apiece.
With no robotics facility, with no robotics bay, remember, with no Templar Archives, remember. 3 key structures which Classic cannot help his army to keep up with what we see from Hero. Hero smells weakness. Can he finish his opponent off and see us go to game 4?
Oh, we would love to see that as Hero comes through. He loses the Militia Core, so he has to commit to a bit of an attack here. The Tempest coming through. He's got his sights on the 3rd. The Militia Core Classic is down. No more forward on overcharge. So he just has to take it easy. He's just taking it. He doesn't want to overextend and lose all of his important units. He has +3. Classic losing that Forge as well as those other important structures means he has 1 upgrade down here. Oh! One Colossus takes a bit of hurt on the Tempest. Not quite down yet. Down it goes, and this is a big concave from Classic, but Hero has some very powerful units here on the ground. A very close engagement. Looks like a Tempest advantage definitely for Classic, and they are doing work in the sky.
And just like the Legacy of the Void cinematic, here come the Zealots to really reinforce this position, and they need to charge in, and Hero has a commanding advantage, a commanding lead in game 3.
It looks like he's done it, Apollo. He has shredded apart Classic's ground army. The Tempest still alive in the sky. They are going to push him back for now. And the army supply is still very even here, even with the upgrade advantage for Hero.
Yes, indeed. He's losing a couple of trailing units, but this is a nice advantage now for Hero. He's got 7 Dark Templars still around the map, and if they find weakness again, this is important for him to continue to push forward, to find his victory. It's so close. It is still a little bit far, but it is in touching distance.
That's right, pylons going down, the proxy pylons of Hero going down, and it looks like he wanted to go for a touch up there with the DTs, but cannons, 2 cannons and a warp in from the Zealots, doesn't want to throw away these important, expensive units.
And very well done for Classic to hold on against that attack there.
That was so close.
6 Tempest to 3, big difference there. Quite expensive units. And the game stabilizing at this moment. You look at a lot of the numbers here. Very similar between the both.
Yeah, Hero's going to try and make things a little bit easier for him by getting those air upgrades up for his Tempest. So he does now have the same amount here of Classic. Well, he's lost the same amount of Tempest here as Classic. Well, look at those unit losses. Wow, Hero has lost a lot of important units in this game. Quite expensive.
All right, so
they're very similar.
To the dust settles.
Yeah, look at that.
Back to each other's side of the map, and a couple of explosive moves, obviously starting up by Hero. He looked to finish the deal there, but he couldn't destroy Classic to take this map. at that point. He's going to move his tech a little bit further. He's going to move his Mothership core now to the full Mothership, of course, granting cloak to all his units underneath it. Likewise, we are going to see the same from Classic.
It's like both players have a clock in their brain.
They've played tens of thousands, or should I say thousands, probably tens of thousands.
Probably 10, you're probably right. The
Protoss versus Protoss games. They know the timings, they know at this point I should be getting this, with this amount of income I should be building this, and likewise we can see it with the 5th bases as well. But this game is now starting to take, or continuing to take, should I say, to the skies as more and more Tempests are being added on, and further upgrades too. Hero with that +2 attack is gonna be nice, a little advantage for his air army.
That's right, and here we're going to try and get up at this extra Nexus here at the top. Classic has his going down as well. It's just both players doing pretty much the same thing at the same time.
Whew. Great start to the global finals, Maynard.
Absolutely.
Great start to
we actually have to take a breather as well as the players because it is so action-packed.
It has been, and right now just looking, obviously always looking for weaknesses, holes, an area to get in, and obviously both looking to protect the same weaknesses that they're looking to exploit. Cannons added on to the 5th bases, protection from a pylon naturally that can warp in additional units as well. At this point, warp prisms are very deadly. I mean, they always are deadly, but I would like to see one come into play here again. Imagine when you, because obviously the more you expand, the further out into the map you go, the more vulnerable your original base is.
Yeah.
And that's where all the key structures are. So a warp prism is super deadly at this point. If it's able to squeeze out into the main base, a warp in of Zealots and Dark Templars, at the same time, as cool as that is, you should also know it's also expensive to be able to warp in Dark Templar, to warp in a bunch of Zealots. And at this stage of the game, money isn't as high as it was, let's say, 5-10 minutes ago. Well, actually, at this current point, it is actually not that bad. But you've got to use it wisely, especially because these units at this stage of the game, naturally, a lot more expensive.
So one small thing to look at here is that Classic has quite a nice bank going for him in the bottom there. So he can actually reinforce a little bit easier than Hero at this point. But you're right, the incoms, not too bad, quite similar.
And that's something which is going to really assist Classic when they do fight, whether it is simple reinforcements into the army, whether it's how fast he can rebuild the same army that he's got currently and how fast that can take. That is a great benefit. Hero's not too far behind. It will pretty much decide based on how the army goes, right? And how the fight goes, excuse me. And how convincing it is for Hero or Classic.
Throwing away those Stalkers there, they're a little bit useless in this point of the game as the higher tech units really decimate them. Zealots, a nice big warp in here from Classic, but Hero all over it with his own warp in. Cannon's helping out a lot. Both players just can't seem to crack each other at this point.
At this stage of game as well, in StarCraft 2, you're almost crafting the ideal army, I guess is the best way to say it when you're at this stage of the game. I've got all my tech unlocked. I've got quite a bit of money at this stage. What is the best possible army combination or unit combination to build that army I can have? Currently, I'm looking at the unit tabs, and Hero, while harassment is going on, as you can see on screen, has 21 Tempests to 11. Hero is really in the sky here. And is that going to be the advantage? Is that going to be what it takes to win the fight? Because that's what, ultimately, it comes down to. They will fight soon, but who comes out on top?
Yeah, Classic has the Stalk, he has the Colossus there. A Colossus for Tempests.
That's so
just going to make them evaporate, Apollo.
And you start to think, okay, so why does Classic have more money? Well, Hero spent a lot on this army. And he's got an Oracle. He's going to look to get range on. Oh, he goes down. He looked to try to get his spell Revelation on this army. So we can see from a distance.
And those incredible range Tempests,
look at that.
In synergy with the Oracle, can really put the hurt on it. But yeah, Classic just getting that Oracle in time. Taking up his... Wow, that's a 6 Nexus going down there for Classic at the top.
Observer goes down for Classic. That is a nice little move.
Yeah, both players with a...
Oh, he gets the other one. Oh, nice. That means the Observer can move forward. Of course, cannons can also reveal, so he's got to be careful not to move too far forward. But look at this pincer position that Hero has due to the long-range units that he holds.
I feel like if he right-clicks on this Nexus from that range, it just disappears with that many Tempests in the sky. Oh, loses his own observer there. An extra couple of observers for Hero on the back end, though. 13 probes going down for Classic, but it's all about army supply.
Yeah, there's two fights you're going to see continue to happen. Is the core fight, which is down at the south between the Army of Hero and Classic, but also the harassment game up to the north here, which both will be looking to spend additional extra resources in harassing each other's expansion, because at the north there really isn't that much defense. Of course, cannons and pylons, but ultimately a bunch of zealots and Dark Templar will destroy this. So that's an important secondary fight, almost as important as the main one that's going on down here.
That's right. Battles on both sides of Cactus Valley going down here in the third game of our first series. The hero probe's getting damage done. And that's actually speed upgraded observers there for Classic. They're getting forward into that engagement for Hero. Both players...
Oh, look at this. Hero's broken through. He's got all the pylons and cannons there. And the secondary fight is an easy victory for Hero. He's going to destroy this Nexus. And now when you're going to be looking at the income, an additional base in favor of Hero. And on top of that, he's still pressuring the North Nexus with his Tempest. The North Nexus goes down. Another victory by Hero. And he continues the pressure. And he's won one fight. He's doing damage in the middle as well through Dark Templar. Wow. He's finding holes. He's finding weaknesses, and this is what you need to see if he is going to turn this around.
The harassment game has definitely been won by Hero here. The ground army, though, is, and I'll just say the air army here is what's going to matter. As the robotic facility's gone, Classic is concentrating on Tempest. He's making his gateways at the bottom.
I mean, at this point, Maynard, even though the Nexus is killed and harassment is great, if he still loses the overall fight, he still loses the overall game.
Absolutely, yes. As we saw that Hero nearly took this game early, but because he didn't convincingly win the fight, he couldn't seal the deal.
Is he going to try to snipe the mothership there?
He got the fleet beacon.
Obviously, that's a key target.
He really wants that mothership. She's just outside of range. Yeah, look how much damage they do on that Nexus. It is one more volley away. Yeah, one more volley and it is see you later. And the Stargate's going down here for a harassment here from Hero. He's actually gotten quite a few of these Dark Templar, continuing to warp in at a pylon that's very aggressive here. And he will get it.
And just to note, there's only 4 Tempest difference between the both of them now. Classic has caught up, but he's not there yet. There's still 4 difference.
Yeah, there is still a difference. And small differences make all the difference when you're this high level in StarCraft.
You're right. Look at how many units we've got killed here throughout this game.
Jeez.
A beautiful
It is a bloodbath.
map. Indeed, indeed. There is an Oracle here for Hero.
An observer army.
Gotta be careful. One mistake is a loss at this stage of the game.
It is, and with this much damage, they are actually one-shotting a lot of important things here. The harassment game of Hero continues to hold strong. Classic can't divert resources to deal with this. He just, I mean, he has a lot of money, but he's concentrating on building up his army at that 4th Nexus that's being high-hunted by Hero like for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Harassment by Hero. He really has won that game of resources and harassment. And looking at the other side of that, the mothership core, or mothership, should I say, sorry, now it has moved up to the mothership, was sniped. No longer are these units under cloak from that. It's a nice little volley from these Tempests.
Obviously, you can't still charge in because there are still observers, but look, more harassment for Hero. Continuing to do damage, which is just minerals. He is spending minerals to do insane damage to Classic's infrastructure.
The harassment virus that we're seeing from Hero is spreading down this left-hand side.
Well said.
That's
very nice.
It took up the north, and now it's coming down to the west here, and it continues to spread, and this is a problem. Classic needs to deal with this.
Another fleet beacon's about to go down. That's the second one I've seen already.
This is very difficult for Classic, who started so well in this series, but he is being outplayed. Crossing the mid-game into the late game, into the super late game, he is being outplayed.
And Hero feels like he wants to do a bit more damage here. Poking forward, losing one Tempest on the back there. Colossus evaporating to that huge army in the sky. And more continues to happen back at home for Classic. If you were only watching the armies poke each other, you would think this is very, very close. But
look at this. It's incredible how much damage Hero has done. He's going to take this 3rd base now. He can move into the natural in the main. And Classic now, if he goes back to defend, obviously Hero moves forward and snipes the Nexus. 1 volley perhaps, and this is gone.
Maybe 2. It's going to be close. There's that volley. And that Nexus is going to go down. Big off there for Hero. And yes, the army supplies are similar, but Classic can't continue to reinforce it if his bank disappears.
Look at this, another warp-in from Hero going towards the 2nd base. And Classic, as much as he's got money right, he will run out back.
Yeah, because he's not getting that important. And he's losing structures to build these important units.
This is becoming a disaster for Classic and a masterclass from Hero of harassment, securing more expansions, keeping his income high, keeping his bank count, and he's been able to support the constant harassment and warping of units because of all of this. He's got more money, he's got more income.
Oh, wow. No income except for 80 gas, 96. A little bit of gas income there for Classic. And he tries to remake next. Don't cancel, it is gone. Easily picked up there by Hero.
An absolutely beautiful stranglehold position here from Hero down at the south, taking down that Nexus once again. And you just have to look and admire. You just have to look and admire.
This is showing us why for most of 2015 we were saying Hero is without a doubt the greatest Protoss in StarCraft 2 at this point for this year.
Absolutely.
He's the #1 points holder for a very good reason. Yeah, games like this.
Hit a wall here, Maynard, really has. And couple of pros being thrown forward here just to just to clear up some supply so he can continue to build up his army to increase, ready for a final strike here.
I mean, again, like the Legacy of the Void cinematic, the Protoss do not have a home to go home. They have nothing to go home to here for Classic. Probe versus Probes going down. Game 3 has everything.
It does, it really does. Hero moves forward once again with his army and is going to deny that expansion the 20th time.
It feels like it.
Game.
And Classic is just, he's bleeding out here. Look at his bank. Remember what I said about that bank? It is gone. And he's got no income. None of it is coming back. He is in a death animation right now.
He really is. He really is. And I can't help but feel this series started with so much adrenaline and excitement as we saw game #1 start and end so fast. Game 2 slowed down a little bit as both players found their footing in this series. And game 3 has gone the distance.
Now, one thing that may happen here is that Classic has almost a 70 supply advantage here in Army, so he is going to pick a fight. The Mothership is gone, though, and Hero has all these cannons to fall back to, giving him that advantage in this battle.
He does, and he's got a lot of money to rebuild as well. Remember, Classic has no money in the bank. Everything he loses here
are almost useless.
Will not be replenished.
That's right, it's all about the battle in the sky here. Taking out those of the observers, taking out the Tempests.
So even though in the army supply at the south here, you see the numbers 99 to 146, we will see Hero climb up. All that money is going to be built with more units, and he will start to catch up to that number, as you see now, 4 additional Tempests. And Classic, who has no income, he's long-distance mining from the south position now, is looking to see if he can win the game with the army that he has, and that is all he has. And a unit like that going down is expensive, and like I said, cannot be replaced.
And he's dropped the Revelation on the Tempest as well. If he gets to a better position, he can actually engage this from a slight range advantage. It's just, he's taking it easy here. Hero doesn't want to throw it away.
He's got time, he's got money.
Exactly.
Just needs to wear him down, wear the army down, build up, overtake. 4 more Tempests, 12 more High Templar, 5 more Archons into the mix. Take your time, breathe. It's an easy game to win. You don't want to mess this up. Classic is on the ropes, and Hero just has to finish him off at this point.
It is. And slowly as we see those supplies trickle down for the SKT1 player, the CJ crowning jewel is moving across the map here to try and seal the deal. Now we can see that Classic is doing damage back at home in Hero's base.
Yeah.
But he really cannot engage this.
So this is a little bit risky from Hero because he's going to lose all his key structures inside the main base. So he's obviously going to be looking out to get as many units as he can, but he will lose these structures eventually if Classic continues to push forward, which means Hero also will not be able to continue to rebuild, but Classic has chosen to go a little bit south here, which is allowing the additional expansions and income around the map to continue to power up the Stargate. So 4 more Tempests will complete.
Another fleet beacon
will complete.
More fleet beacons going down. He's actually, just wasted structures here for Classic there.
Yeah. And look at the army line now.
And there it is.
53 from Hero, 139 for Classic. He's bought the time necessary, and all he needs to do now is join forces together to strike. Likewise, Hero joining forces together. Imagine if Classic found the reinforcements and found the weakest side of this army.
Yeah.
This could flip on its head still.
Absolutely. I've seen crazier things in my time in StarCraft. If he comes up into the main and just picks off 6 Tempests, all of a sudden he's got a fighting chance and a head-on engagement. As it stands, though, Hero is beefing things up and he is in an incredible advantage. Pick the supply up.
So perhaps Hero destroys a lot in the main base here and then recalls back to his original main base himself to join forces together. This lowers the risk of trying to join the 2 armies together that Classic could find in the middle.
You could almost even spring a sandwich here with that many Tempests from his main swinging in. There is no mothership or anything like even going to be a Nexus to recall to here. Classic is gone. He's lost everything.
I mean, at this point, as you can see on screen, he doesn't have any buildings left. He could just get eliminated from this, and we may not even see the epic conclusion to the map. We want to see the fight break.
We want to see this fight break out. And Classic does too, because he has actually got a pretty similar army supply, but he does still have the advantage to Hero. Every single advantage is to Hero right now. 10 Tempests different.
There's no probes. There's no probes for Classic, so his entire structure...
He can't base race.
He can't base race. He has to defend this here, otherwise he simply will be eliminated. So he's going to have to go back to defend, and it looks like Hero bringing the units together is going to push the issue. I'm struggling to find a way that Classic wins this game right now, because if he takes the fight against Hero's army, it looks like he's going to lose. He may just lose before that.
Exactly, these are his last remaining structures, Apollo. And he dropped the Envision there. It looks like Hero is just going to eliminate Classic. The fight is coming down. Classic is forced to try and make something happen here. While he's going down, Hero's actually going to recall. He's taking it so carefully.
Oh, shaky hands there from Hero. He's like, if I go for these structures, I may not get them and may lose my entire army and then may lose the entire game. So he says, whatever, let me get out. Let me find my entire army together. As you can see, 28 Tempest to 19. Join your army together, and you're going to win the fight.
I think
and it still comes down to Classic for the fight, right, in the middle, if he still finds it.
Definitely the correct decision there from Hero, I feel. Just to take, like, you know, we all wanted to see that engagement, but Hero wants to see himself get 2-2, and that one Archon. That does not look consensual.
Oh, these fat guys are stuck in there. Bit of a problem. I don't think Hero realizes either.
No, not just yet.
Sad.
But fortunately, he has so many Tempests that it probably doesn't even matter. He probably doesn't even need those Archons.
Yeah, I don't think he does, to be honest. I don't think he does. But Hero's got his army together, and it looks like Classic is going to walk into this one a little bit, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
And this is the epic conclusion, but I feel like we've already read the last page of the book here.
We have, and the engagement, even this engagement starts beautifully for Hero as the volleys go up, taking out the Tempest, and the mothership does go down, but he's like, hello, here's the rest of my army, and Classic is not going to take this series right now, right here. Hero with a fighting chance.
An absolutely wonderful game from both players here, but at the end of the day, Hero is going to win this fight and win this game. GG!
Beautiful game from CJ Entis' ace player, Hero.
Fantastic game of StarCraft there. Really, really enjoyed that one, and I hope you guys did at home. And of course, in the arena here, Hero on the ropes, on the back foot, when all the pressure of being eliminated by the same player at the same stage as last year was on his shoulders. He shrugged it off. He shrugged it off, and he performed better than he has done, obviously, in this series. And to be honest, better than we've seen him during the global finals, and that was wonderful to see.
That was actually, yeah, we see that the SKT1 coach coming in here, having a bit of a chat, and just trying to calm Classic down. He knows he's got an map advantage still in the series.
Yeah,
he's very, very mental at this point.
You can see that.
He's very shaken.
He's shaken. That was a big loss there. Fantastic performance, but currently here at the halftime, it is 2-1 for Classic. Hero crawling back, though.
He is, and I got to say, that's the best game of StarCraft I've seen from Hero in recent memory.
Absolutely insane game 3 after probably the shortest game 1 that you could possibly expect to start this tournament off. I mean, it very clearly looked like Classic was going to crush 3-0, and I was about to be really embarrassed because I called Hero to win the whole tournament. But that last game, I feel like that's the sort of loss that can put Hero back on the map. That is so exhausting to lose for 45 minutes in a row.
And we saw him in there with his coach, right? And it didn't look good. He looked very upset by it. And, you know, especially when you look at that game and the fact that there was a pylon, like, in his base for the whole game.
And because probes were attacking the building and said, we may as well build stuff. I mean,
it's actually, what I love about that game so much is that at one point Classic literally had like a 40 supply army advantage, and in PvP that's usually lights out, but Hero was able to fight back with elimination behind him. That's it. If he loses that game, he's absolutely out. He was able to fight back, and it was through his army control and his just kind of a map presence. I mean, that pylon was huge, but at the end of the day, if you don't win the big fight in a PvP, you're not going to win the game. And he was able to do that multiple times and play it patiently. It was incredible, given that he was on the verge of losing the entire tournament.
I mean, this was the key moment as we look at the Windows 10 game DVR. These 4 hero DTs, normally supposed to kill probes, get the Robo, the Templar Archives, the Robo Facility, the Forge right before +3 begins. I mean, you just have to re-tech everything again.
Yeah, and you know, that was a huge deal. Like the harassment, Classic just didn't deal with well. He was moving around his army in a ball. Against things like this, you're supposed to get a Dark Shrine so DTs can clean everything up for you because your opponent can't send observers with his little harassment. So,
or at least if like you spring a leak and Harass is doing a good job against you, plug that hole. Like build a couple of cannons, have that Dark Shrine like you talked about. Like sometimes it'll happen to PvP where you're like, oh shoot, I forgot a Dark Shrine. Well, you should realize that as the harass is happening, probably.
What I really liked about the way Hero played in the end is that he was in control the whole game and then did not force the fight, because that's a really easy way to throw away the game. If you're winning for 30 minutes, but then you lose that one big deathball fight in PvP, you lose anyway. So it was a very smart play, very patient, and also psychologically winning, as you said, for 45 minutes in a row. It's just going to do something.
Well, okay, so here's what I'm curious about, is that certainly there was a period when I was watching and I was like, good job, Hero, don't engage, play patient, hang on. But there came a point where I was like, oh, okay, Hero, play patiently. Why are you giving up all your bases? You don't have to do that, just attack, just engage now. You know, do you think that this is Hero's fear?
No, I completely disagree. There was absolutely no reason for him to defend those bases because he still had 2 more bases mining, he had his infrastructure running. Why, if you mess up one little fight, you lose everything that you worked for the past 30 minutes. And Hero had a lot of supply, but actually the army value itself was still pretty close, even though there were a lot of Colossus for Classic in there that didn't matter.
The PvP final battles are gigantic. There have been so many times where like you have 6 more Colossus, you have 5 more Tempest, but because you engage incorrectly, you get wiped out. Like it's so swingy, and I really like that Hero did have that patience, because I have to agree, those bases in the grand scheme of things were okay to lose.
Yeah, I gotta say though, like Hero was really clever killing off his own Colossi, but not suiciding them. Because you know when you see someone throwing units into you, like probes or stalkers that we normally see, you're like, oh, okay, he's freeing up supply for more air units. He killed off his own Colossi, which was very sneaky, and he kept seeing Classic's Colossi. I think, like, I'm always the one saying, hey, stay in that game, don't attack, wait for him to leave, you know, run him dry. But when he got, like, 10 more Tempests, he should have just gone. He knew there were 6 Colossi, and there was no chance to lose an air war.
Yeah. I mean, there was so much to talk about in that game number 3, but games 1 and 2 were pretty gruesome in the opening stages. I mean, obviously game 1 was, I didn't see game 1 because I briefly went to the restroom and got back and it was like, GG! And I was like, oh my God, what happened? And then game number 2, the Oracle killing the Immortal that could have just won the game. That's so painful to see.
It was clinical. I mean, it looked like Classic was the guy we were kind of talking about that was going to come in refined, calm, and with purpose. And that's probably part of the reason why we're spending so much time on game 3, because it feels like that's where Hero's emerging. Like the first 2 games, he was getting smothered under Classic's just supreme play, but in game 3, it was Hero that had the better engagement, the better army control, and the better harass, which is a huge part of PvP, by the way. And it was in games 1 and 2, but it was just so Classic doing the better job, I guess.
As long as Hero manages to get in the later stages of the game, 4 and 5, I am feeling pretty good about him. But Classic, he can get the build order advantage once again, and Hero looked a little bit shaky in the early game, being afraid of just, you know, it's so easy to lose a PvP in the early game. There's a lot of variance, and Classic looked a little bit more self-confident there.
This is going to be a very scary matchup going forward for Hero, because if he can win the next game, of course, he's got to feel like he has a chance. But in PvP, there are so many situations where it's like, I'm doing this thing, and then you're like, oh no, you did that thing. Uh-oh. And that can happen. He's got 2 more games for that to happen in Classic's favor.
And I gotta say, I mean, Coda and Iron Fortress are really scary maps because there's so much high-low ground alternation through there. I mean, if you have a much flatter center, as you do on Cactus Valley, you at least have a little bit more comfort there, but it's so easy to just run your army straight up and lose all of everything immediately.
You know, I'm just wondering if Classic can hold up his mentality, because he outplayed Hero game 1, he outplayed Hero game 2, he outplayed Hero game 3, and then lost. And he looks shaken. And at the end of the game, like, it was like watching a robot with his circuits malfunctioning. It just, StarCraft.exe was not working well in his head at that moment. He just fell apart at the end. He looked crushed with his coach talking to him. I mean, her0 may have just won the series with that game. That is a possibility.
Good time to call a timeout, too, though, and kind of collect yourself.
That's why we're here. When players request timeouts, breaks away from the game, especially after a long game like that, we're here to make sure that you're not just looking at them, burying their face in their hands. But Classic still is not back in his booth. He is taking his time. He is taking a long time away to really mentally recoup because, I mean, I cannot stress how difficult it is to win after you have been losing in a game for 45 minutes where it felt hopeless and it was. That's exhausting.
Well, you say that, but that's not technically true, right? Like, I think we agree he was leading at least half the game and then...
Yeah,
definitely in the end, it was like a boa constrictor. Like, we all saw her0 with the army advantage from the majority of that, and the harass was very clearly killing Classic, so it did go on for like 15 minutes. But I think what makes this so hard for Classic is he probably at some point had that distraction that we were talking about, where he was like, yo, bro, you just did it. You 3-0'd her0.
Yeah.
You just won like $100,000 probably. And he allowed that into his head, and then her0 punched back, and now all of a sudden he's like, I need a 20-minute break, because I'm going to go punch some walls.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us have had that moment where we go, I did it. I won. And I've never won when I think that. I've never won. Yeah.
I had a few of those.
Yeah, here and there.
I mean, how do you recoup now?
So, I mean, that's like the big question that I think if we were able to answer that in truth, we wouldn't be sitting on this couch. But for a lot of those guys, it is like a break like this where they go and they just say, get it all out of your head. We had a plan for Coda. We had a plan for Iron Fortress.
Yeah.
And that's Classic too, by the way. That's what he does. Like, the first two games were very build order advantage and then hold and win. And even in game 3, it was build order advantage and hold, but the hold part was what shook up. So I still feel like you got to feel good for Classic, but the fact that he isn't back, the fact that this was such a nerve-wracking loss, you got to factor it in. It's BlizzCon, for Pete's sake. There's no bigger stage.
I think it's okay for Classic because at least the next map is Coda, which is
very normal.
So he won the first two-player maps, which are more standard.
Sure.
Maybe Pritchard is a little bit odd, but he lost on the big map Cactus. And if we would follow up with Iron Fortress again, which can to some part play out very similar to Cactus, it might be a little bit harder for mentally, but Coda, he can just get a quick victory once again. Maybe.
I think that's a very good point.
I do want to jump in and also add that SKT1 has 4 players here, as well as both of their top 2 coaches. So he definitely has the people behind him to get him calmed down in this short amount of time. If he can calm down, these are the people to help him with it.
Now, it is kind of funny, though, in StarCraft, that like 3 of those people that want him to calm down are also competitors in the tournament. So they're like, man, what a bad loss that was, wasn't it? Aren't you nervous now? He's like, get away from me, innovation. I got to focus, you know. Like.
Now, are any of you changing your predictions for this?
Oh, Dario is.
No, I'm sticking with my prediction.
No, man. That's not how it works either. We can't change the predictions, actually.
Wow.
I'm not a coward, Day 9. I will stay with Classic here. He's
Artosis is many things, but a coward he is not.
You're saying you're not a coward when you're sticking with the guy who's leading and is on match point.
You're so brave. Really inspiring.
He's like, look up to me, guys.
Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it, you know?
So I know Classic. I hear you.
I'm bravely choosing to stay with Classic as well.
That's right.
Like I said, I need to get a lot of points back in the caster prediction game. I'm sticking with her0. Again, my favorite to win the whole tournament. And, you know, in game number 2, which I think we've talked about the least, I felt like that really showed how when her0 gets into those late game circumstances, he gets better and better and better. He was quite far behind and managed to look okay. He started to do a lot of very difficult to judge multi-pronged attacks. It was really the final engagement where he faltered most, but if he can get to that mid-late game, clearly that's where her0 shines.
Yeah, one of the ways to look at it is I feel like her0 got stronger as the matchup went on, right? Game 1 was his least impressive. Game 2 got a little bit better. Game 3 was obviously his win and perhaps his best display yet. So who knows if Game 4 gets even better. Wow.
Look, I actually think that, like, if he wins Game 4, I think Classic needs to finish it off here because, like Dario was saying, you know, even if Hero loses game 1, game 2, he can still fight back because he gets better as series go. You just mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
The fact that we saw him, his mentality already starting to break. We're going into game 4, and then game 5 is a big 4-player map again. A lot harder to kill your opponent early on there. So I think that Classic really needs to shut him out here on Coda.
An essential match for game number 4, and we've all been in this situation. If you are ever down in a best of X series and everything is resting on that one next match, and if you win, everything is resting on the next match, it is so easy to fall apart in that circumstance. Game number 4 underway. It's Classic versus Hero. Take it away, Apollo and Maynard.
And we are resetting the stage here. We just got that we got that little bit of hype there with that Hero win, so a lot of the fans are feeling like the momentum maybe with him, but we can't ignore the fact that Classic is still 1 map away from victory. Hero needs to win the next 2.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. It's time to get into this one. Who's going to take it? Will Classic close it out or not?
Yeah, it's hard to say, man. I think even the prediction, I'm glad that everyone's brave and sticking with their predictions there. I actually tipped Classic as well myself, but it is so tough when Hero looks that good on Cactus Valley. Getting into Coda in the top left here. 1 map away from the round of 4. It is SKT1's Classic.
There he is.
There he is. We found him. And in the bottom right here, we also found this guy. It is CJ and just Hero! The sound system and the thunder of the crowd, you can hear there are a lot of fans for these players here today. Beautiful crowd here in Anaheim.
On the world's biggest stage, can you bring the world's best play? Is a question now that we need to see from both sides. As both mentioned, or all mentioned on the couch, is that Classic's best chance to win this series is this map. He does not want to lose 2 games in a row where obviously he's going to be shaken up. Going into game number 5 when Hero's going to have 2-game momentum in his favor, a 4-player map where it is more risky and can be more dangerous, especially against a player with momentum. This is the map that Classic needs to finish this.
It does seem like, with these 2 players, if you look at them, Classic likes that earlier to mid-game. Hero, however, loves that late game. We can see that even when you look at his percentages, when he plays those later games, he does tend to win in this matchup.
And
so, Artosis is very correct.
He is, sometimes. He is.
Sometimes. Well, in this case, he is absolutely correct in my eyes.
And to continue on with what Artosis said, I popped to get some more water back there, and I ran past Classic, who was having a one-on-one with his coaches. It was great to see. I Love Oath, obviously one of them.
Yeah, a legend of the StarCraft era.
Legend from StarCraft, now a coach on SK Telecom, was talking to him, was calming him down. I've no idea what he exactly said, obviously, but it's always good to have that type of manpower behind you, and we'll see if it shines through. Classic is going to scout his opponent much earlier, much faster than Hero.
Yeah, opting for that extra scout, it's just a slight income difference, but really nothing to write home about. He does get to see what's going on in Heroville.
Not much in Heroville.
With a Sentry coming out for Hero, looking like he wants to go for that quicker expand.
Yeah, quicker expand. It could be for hallucinated energy, or energy for hallucinated phoenixes. He does throw down a Twilight Council straight off the back of it.
So perhaps not. He cancelled it.
Yeah, so we'll see. The probe is now left for Classic, but no scouting whatsoever coming out from Hero. He's just going to rely on the energy from the Sentry. But of course, when you get a Sentry this early on, and then a Stalker and Twilight Council and Blink upgrade, you'd imagine, he's not having a Mothership core. So he is slightly vulnerable to aggressive plays, which at the moment, Classic still could go for, depending on how aggressive he lines up with. But
that's pretty aggressive.
He's chosen the Dark Shrine, indeed. And that is good against a player who has no detection, obviously. So let's see, do we get detection as a Hero?
I feel like it looks like Hero wants to drop that Nexus still. And I mean, if he does, it's going to be very, very, very tough for him if that DT comes a knocking, obviously.
Yep, indeed. So
hitting across the map. Just the one Stalker getting a little bit of map control for Hero. Yeah. Seeing what's up, getting that vision.
Classic. The finisher, as we can call it, the finisher could be the Dark Templar. We've seen games end instantly. At this moment, Hero, 0 detection. He's got 3 gateways, Twilight Council and Blink. This could be over in a very anticlimactic way as he goes in. And the earliest sentry, the early energy, and he spots it. The robotics facility is down immediately. He would probably want to warp in another sentry so that he could force field the ramp, knowing that this is very close to finishing, but he should be fine. This is not going to end instantly.
Yeah, he is getting a bit of breathing room here. Obviously, a very well-timed here scout for Hero. Denying this probe, just going to get a little kill there, and the 2 TTs are coming. Obviously, the robotics facility isn't done, but he can force field them and keep that time up that he sorely needs.
Yeah, he's got to buy a bit of time here. We should not be seeing these enter the main base. As you can see, Hero eyes on the ramp. The Nexus will get cancelled, but that's okay. It's a big investment from Dark Templar for 2 of them, and Classic is able to get his expansion up behind this.
Yeah, there's obviously no way Hero is going to be over there doing the damage.
That second force field, not sure if necessary. I think they do 2 Dark Templar. No, there he is. Second force field not necessary, which means he's going to have to warp in another one, or at least block the ramp for a little bit.
He doesn't actually have one just yet. No force field just yet. Oops, Stalker getting hurt a little bit. He does have to let that one in, but the Observer is out, so he can pick the fight. Blink there, keeping that one Stalker alive from Hero.
And now he is going to expand himself.
Yeah, can safely do that now, so gearing up into that 2-base territory. Really nice micro from Hero there to not take too much damage.
Yeah, much faster Nexus coming out from Classic. He's also got his Immortals down, so it by no means was a failure at all, this Dark Templar opening. You can go as far as head to say that that was rather good for Classic. He only lost 1 Dark Templar, he cancelled his opponent's Nexus, he forced in 3 sentries in total, which you don't really want to get at this stage of the game. You'd like to be just on 1, but that's 200 gas used in an area which you don't really want to use at this point, because you should be saving up for tech structures and more expensive other units. So it's okay, it's a good start.
So Hero's going to go up for a Forge here and try and get a little bit further ahead, not in tech, but just in upgrades. So he does have quite a few Stalkers, and he's heading across the map. He's keeping that map vision away from Classic and just sort of taking the middle of the map away from him.
I think
back at home.
We have the Warp Prism coming out now for Classic, which he can load a Dark Templar in very easily. And likewise from Hero too, both of them.
So Hero, obviously he has a robotics facility, he has the Observers, and Classic, he's making Immortals back at home, so he knows what Hero loves to do, and that is Blink. He obviously showed his hand a little bit earlier with that defense against the DTs. And both players are really looking hard to touch here. I mean, obviously the Warp Prism, like you mentioned, can get into the main, can drop those DTs and do damage. But it just feels like Hero's not far away from defending it if that does happen.
Well, if he does take damage, you'd be starting to criticize him a little bit, saying that, you know, he does have a lot of tools to defend this, and 2 Dark Templars, both of them, no. 1 walk, 1 drop, but 3 Stalkers.
And does he notice the ripple? Is he that good of a StarCraft player? Apparently, yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, he is.
Very, very nice star sense there from Hero. But single DT will come in, but I mean, there is a mothership core, there is sentries, there is
no detection on the natural.
Yeah, he actually does have it in the main, so he's going to get 2 probes for this Dark Templar here, and he's going to warp in and obviously bring it down. The Classic's not done here. He's going to split up his damage. Another Dark Templar going into the main. This one is in detection though.
4 probes down and more to go down. This is great from Classic. 7, and he may even get more than that. It is going to stop at 7, but that is a nice move coming out. Well done from Classic, stretching the supply lead 10 in his favor while getting his upgrades while building Colossus. Another nice victory here for Classic, or small victory at the start of this game.
And we saw the harassment master from that last game. Hero hasn't done any just yet. He's been worrying about not taking too much damage from Classic, which unfortunately happened. So he could even lose the Stalker here. It is on hold position. There we go.
That would be a bit sloppy there if he was to lose that. But so far, definitely Classic in a lead again.
That's right, and with these Immortals, it really is going to be tough for these Stalkers to do insane damage to him. He just brings the Immortals down, the army going up to deal with the Warp Prism drop, a Colossus even in the main, and just the Immortals are tanking it there in the natural. They're getting the job done.
Very good defense, very good defense. Great split of units. He stayed calm, he stayed composed, split his unit side in the exact split that you'd want at this stage. Nothing there for Hero. He found a couple of loose probes, but that was nice.
And another warp in here from Classic. His Warp Prism has come in, I mean, Hero is obviously aware of it. His Colossus is chasing it down, decides against that warp in. See that he's getting up to the +2 attack upgrade. So the one thing Hero has going for him is he does have the stronger gateway units, but only for a little bit. I mean, Classic is doing a great job with these DTs.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. He's going to get a pylon over here, very frustrating. Small wins. Another one coming in. Classic really playing this nicely.
Still no cannon here or anything like that. Oh, nice force field there. He does see the ripple.
Pick up and get out. Lots of small skirmishes in this game. Nothing too big, but lots of small skirmishes. Most of them have gone in favor of Classic, stretching his army lead, worker lead, speed of the Nexus. No, excuse me, it is a little bit faster here for Hero. So just a couple of the first things I mentioned.
Got that DT that was hiding away there, waiting for a probe transfer. Didn't quite go to plan there. And really, it's just chip damage here. I mean, Classic's been doing damage to Hero. Hero hasn't really done damage to Classic as a counter-attack yet. I mean, any kind of attack that he's thrown has been quite handily deflected. I mean, that's also how the beginning of Game 3 kind of looks. So anything could happen here in Game number 4.
Absolutely. The upgrade is nice though. +2 attack for Hero, much further ahead than his opponents. That's always a nice advantage to have.
That's right, extra gateways going down, and the hallucinated Phoenix here of Hero is keeping Classic's armor in check, keeping him honest, finding out where everything is so he knows he has the breathing room to be able to power forward. He does have quite a nice, healthy supply lead in workers, though. 61 probes to 52.
Yeah, he does. He does. But Classic has 2 Immortals in his army, which I do favor.
Yeah.
It's a great buffer to have. His army is looking very good, actually. And I do like that he has thrown a lot of concentration on powering up his army size while continuing to harass here.
Game pause.
It looks like another pause from Hero, second one in the series so far.
Yeah. Of course, very, very tense moment for both players. Both of them have a guaranteed $7,500 for being at this stage of the tournament, but it is double moving into the semifinals where they would have 15, and then it is a $50,000 finish for second, and of course first place takes home the 6 figures. 100K.
Right. The big 100K, that is a $250,000 prize pool. Insane money, but the kind of money you'd expect at a tournament this prestigious.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the World Championship after all.
That's right. Doesn't get better than this. Classic is using this break to also get a little bit of talk here from his coach. One of his coaches, I should say.
I think that's the admin, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the admin. Just probably making sure everything's okay. And probably, usually when pauses like this happen, the admin comes over as well and says, oh, by the way, he paused because of this. We'll start the game in a couple of seconds.
Yeah. So obviously Hero, with these pauses, maybe a little bit frustrating, but he is, you know, he doesn't want to concede anything here. He's taking this very, very seriously. This is his tournament life that he's quite literally playing for.
Yeah.
Single elim.
It's, of course, very, very tense here in the arena. You can probably hear a penny drop at this moment as both players looking to find their way to the semi-finals. Hero currently down in this series, trailing 2-1 if you're just tuning in.
That's right, if you're holding breath at home, please don't hold it for too long. Prefer you to be conscious so that you can see this game number 4 go down. And it is going to be restarting again very, very shortly. And let's talk about what we sort of left the stage at here. So Hero with the upgrade advantage.
Sure, he's got an upgrade advantage for sure, but it is a slight overall advantage for Classic. A little bit of a better army, and that's where his advantage really lies. If they were to fight right now, we force them to fight. I guess you could call it the Heroes of the Storm arena type game. If they were to fight in the middle of the map because they're forced to, then it would go in favor of Classic. He's got the better army currently, but of course, the longer the game goes, there are ways to come back, and Hero does have that Warp Prism out, which he can use. But right now, he's consistently defending, always. Warp Prism here, Dark Templar over there, move my army over here. While all that's going on, of course, Classic deploying the aggression is furthering his army and spending money that Hero has to spend on defending into his army size. And that's kind of where we are at this moment.
Yeah, Hero lost like, what, was it 7 probes to that DT harassment in the early game there for Classic? And he's 10 probes ahead at this point, which means he's put a lot of his money back into his economy.
Yeah, back into his economy.
Which he does have, but when it comes down to it, you're right. If the armies clash, she's going to be in a spot above it.
Yep. All right, so it seems that we are going to have to reboot up the replays, or at least resume from replay, should I say.
Yeah.
As there was an issue which will get fixed in a second. But a tense moment here for CJ Hero, of course, a 5-time StarCraft 2 champion. But right now, none of that matters. He's going up against a rival, in essence.
Yeah, they're absolutely rivals. When we talked about at the beginning of the series, if you guys just tuning in, these guys have, I mean, Classic has the winning record against Hero, but it has been such close series, and they are both very closely matched.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, you know, we do have the best players in the world here. Every single one of them against each other, no matter which way you look at it. On a good day, we can see upsets easily at the World Championship here. So it really is about bringing the best possible game on the day when it matters the most. And unfortunately, in the round of 16 that happened just last week at opening week, there were favorites eliminated. They didn't bring the best.
It's a handful of 3-0s there. Does tend to happen. I mean, StarCraft is that kind of game. Even if you're closely matched, even if the games look close, the scoreboard doesn't always tell the story.
Well, the winner of this will be going up in the semi-finals tomorrow against either, of course, the winner of our next series coming up straight away, Innovation versus Life. The reigning world champion will take to the stage and see if he can deliver the X Factor against Innovation, of course, who is the reigning GSL champion and is looked upon by many StarCraft fans around the world as the current best player in StarCraft 2. His form is incredible. He demolished one of his rivals in the round of 16 in Zest. So, of course, that is going to be a highlight game of ours that's just around the corner.
And he also recently won the final season of GOM's GSL as they move into Africa TV. So he is a very recent GSL champion, which is a great indicator of who is the most powerful in the Korean scene.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Gonna get into the replays here pretty shortly, guys. Appreciate the ambiance.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful stage, the beautiful venue.
Yeah, it's a nice time to take a bit of a breather, and that's exactly what the players are going to be doing as well at this point, is, okay, where are we? All right, we're in this game right now. This has been going on. This is what I need to do. And it's a time to refresh.
Yeah.
It's a time to refresh. It's time to reflect a little bit on what's happened so far.
That's right.
Not wearing his Blink pin today, not wearing his Star League and Kesper Cup pin. He did wear it at the opening week, but just decided not to wear it today. Hero, of course, a 2-time champion of this year in Korean tournaments.
Yeah, and Classic he's a tournament winner as well, a Premier Korean tournament winner as well. He's got a handful of those big victories in his back pocket.
All right, so from what I've been told is they do need a couple of extra minutes, so thank you for sticking with us. But we are going to head over to the couch with Day 9 and the boys to see their thoughts on how this is unfolding.
Hope you're enjoying our new band, Day 9 and the Boys, over here on the sofa. Now, the question I have is that we've talked a lot about preparing for a best of 5. We've talked a lot about the mentality, that's changing throughout a matchup. But what happens when there's some sort of unexpected delay?
Oh, yeah.
I think that there's this idealization that a lot of people have that everything is perfect when you go to a tournament environment, when in fact it's the exact opposite. Playing at home, that's when everything is under control. How do you recover in a spot like right now?
And that is what's so remarkable about these guys is because they've been on the GSL, the Pro League, excuse me, those big stages, they've had these technical difficulties and they can overcome them. But for a lot of guys, like in my career, I saw so many players, they're at that mass MLG tournament or whatever, and like someone bumps the back of their chair or their mouse comes disconnected, and that just unravels them. They're like, I can't handle the additional factors, and then all of a sudden, the entire match is almost gone, and we've seen people freak out about that. So these guys right now, they have to be the champions that they are, and they have to just block it out. They're like, if we need to take 3 hours, we'll take 3 hours, but I'm going to have the perfect setup.
Yeah, and I think that it can actually benefit one player over the other sometimes as well. Like, let's say that your opponent is a little bit ahead of you. You can get behind and they get a tempo advantage. They start like harassing you everywhere, and basically everything's happening a little bit too fast for you. But during a big pause like this, you know, while you're just sitting in there alone, you are literally going to think over every second of the game. Like, okay, I'm going to do this click and then that click, and then I'm going to move these units here, and you're going to be able to, the next few seconds when this game unpauses are going to be so fast.
I have a throwback. I want to ask you, because you've been in this situation many a time, but one time I remember, Idra WCG 2007 was Dark Templar dropping you, and the disconnect screen came up. Did it help you that there was a pause in the game, or did it make it worse that your arch enemy was dropping Dark Templar at that moment in time?
Well, I thought he was my friend. As soon as he dropped those Dark Templars, I knew otherwise. No, it didn't have any impact. People drop me all the time, so it's like whatever.
That's actually the play against Dan. Switch to Protoss, Dark Templar drop.
That's what he did.
You know, I like that comment you make about all the little moves that you're going to check, because we glorify, obviously, build orders. Ooh, what's the next big transition he's going to do? When is he going to stop building stalkers? But there's also, did I check all my geysers? Do I have 4? Or 3 in each of my 4 geysers? Did I build all the pylons that I need to? Wait, have I checked for proxy pylons? Protoss vs. Protoss is probably the most easy to mess up basic list of things, because if you drop one of those, dead. You missed a proxy pylon, you forgot to hallucinated Phoenix Scout, a Dark Shrine.
I mean, we saw it in Game 3, that pylon that was literally between his natural and third. He had an observer, he sent a zealot, he saw it, and all of us at home are basic enough to be like, kill the pylon. But he was just so convoluted with everything else that was going on, he never came around to it. So, I mean, he could be thinking about that right now, could be racking his brain. The kind of stressful time, too, is when you like just throw a hallucinated Phoenix through the base and you just see the Dark Shrine, and then the game's paused for like 20 minutes, and you're like, because sometimes you ask that question, like, did he actually see it? But in this case, you're like, yeah, he totally stopped.
Yeah, I guess I would.
Oh, gosh. Like, this is the one that you were just talking about earlier, Dan. It's like, look at that pylon.
Yeah, tell me he doesn't see that. You know the thing that probably happened there?
He's flying over right now.
He probably thought it was his pylon.
Yeah,
I have had that happen to me before. I have seen, like, I think I saw Huck do this once in a tournament where he just put it in the opponent's base near his other pylons and never saw it.
Yeah.
It's like, this can happen to even the best pro gamers, and you know, everything's moving so fast. But you're right, if we had a pause there, he'd be thinking like, where are all these zealots coming from? And he'd probably look at it.
It has to be somewhere close, because I feel like they're here all the time.
He might actually have moments where he tried to warp in units and then was wondering where his reinforcements are coming from, like trying to defend the drops that were actually happening from that pylon.
Yeah.
I've never done that, but that would be an incredible moment in time where you're like, nothing's coming.
So at this point in time, like the Dark Templar opening freaked me out, because that is literally the saddest way to lose the final game that eliminates you from a tournament. That hurts. Barely spots it in time. We see, again, a little bit of shakiness, an extra force field that's needed, but at the state the game is in, where that ramp is happening, where they're starting to get a bunch of Colossus and upgrades in a third base. I mean, what are the big trip-ups that can happen?
Well, I almost wonder if this is where Classic's having that like freak-out moment again, where he's like, gosh, it was going so well, games 1 and 2, and all of a sudden, Hero's slowing it down again. We're getting to that late game. And even the Dark Templar defense here was really, really strong. Like, look at the double force field behind this. He sees it instantly. None get in. Buys time for himself. And later, by the way, too, I don't know if we have it pictured here, but the Dark Templar get dropped off in both the main and natural, and again are expertly defended. Like, sometimes these kind of openings happen, and then you lose 5, 6, 10 probes as the game goes on, and those 5, 6, 10 can be the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, I think this Dark Templar opening did enough, despite the fact that it got canceled. You know, it's not like he wanted to build 3 sentries this early on.
Right.
He had to cancel, you know, his Nexus there. The Nexus gets up quicker for Classic, but does this throw Classic off? Because you know he's hoping. He's like, can I just maybe get this win by sneaking a DT up? Can I disappoint the fans with this win right now?
And that's what I was talking about. There's so many moments in PvP where it's just like, yeah, I was going observerless, blink stalker, a DT shows up, GG, over, 100%. And that's exactly, I think, what Classic was going for. There's a lot of builds where that can happen. Even an Oracle or Phoenix opening, if the Oracle's across the map and doing something and a DT shows up in your main, that can be game-ending damage. But none of that happened. Hero is peering into his like little crystal ball, and he's starting to get into that late game again. I think we shouldn't necessarily count out Classic, because it's like all we want to talk about is how much better Hero played the late game. But Classic was still there too, even ahead at some points.
You know, I think the hardest transition to late game PvP is the Tempest transition.
Yeah.
That results in some of the most embarrassing, dumbest moments in PvP I have ever had, where my Tempests are at 70% and then I die. Or I build way too many Tempests and he actually didn't build any and just kills me with Stalkers.
Oh, man.
So, you have to be so careful. I think 3 sentries which is the amount that Hero has right now, is just the right amount throughout the game to continue to scout, to continue to check, to make sure you have a Guardian Shield for that big fight, and not to overcommit down one tech path. It's very easy to overmake Colossus or overmake Tempest. I mean, that final transition, I think most Protosses don't have a lot of experience.
It's a super unique matchup where literally there's going to be a point in the game where you kind of like fold your arms and look and go, I have an Immortal still. I need to get rid of him. And then it's like, also these 4 Stalkers are exactly enough to one-shot probes. I'll send them out. You know, like there's no TVT where they're like, 7 tanks or 6. I'm gonna go with 6. 6 is the right number. Like, you don't really do that, but in PvP, it literally comes down to each individual unit. And we saw that in that game number 3. Like the 5 or 6 Colossus, you were saying this the whole time we were talking about it. Like, no, they don't have anything to shoot, so they're just dead space.
And looking at the units of Hero, I'm actually liking his position because he opened up with a lot of observers to deal with the Dark Templars, and he also has the sentries to make a hallucinated Phoenix. So he has complete vision control of the map, as long as he manages to survive. For example, Classic, on the other hand, has 2 more Immortals we were talking about that can definitely help swing the tide in a battle. So as long as Hero survives for the next 5 minutes, I feel he's in a really good spot.
Yeah, and I think at this point in the game, he only has 2 Blink Stalkers, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a little unusual to
2 Blink Stalkers is like a Phoenix, right? It's like, well, what does this do?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is
guys show up to the office, they're like, what is it that you do?
I work with my friend to pick off probes twice a game.
Kinda.
But
we can kill observers.
I think my favorite part of what you said, Jeff, was the really strict analysis you do in the late game.
Yeah.
We even heard Apollo and Maynard talking about this, where they're like, there's a Zealot counterattack, and if we count the Zealots, that's 28 supply. And if we look at the probes, it means that this is happening. That might not be good. It's killing a Nexus right there.
They're not spaceships.
Yeah, I mean, it cannot be stressed enough that in PvP, the big final fight is it. Everything is so focused on that big final fight. You know, TVZ, we've seen games where the players are whittling each other away all game long. Main armies clash constantly, but PvP, it's the one fight.
And it
ends it.
Yeah, and it becomes, it's like everything gets hyper-focused and weird too. We saw the Mothership itself get picked off twice, and that is a gigantic deal specifically with their army compositions, because you do not want Tempest with Mothership. Well, if you have that, you do, engaging just Tempest, because they'll be whiffing on shots, they'll be focusing a single volley into the Mothership itself, and then that's several volleys into the Tempest, and all of a sudden you're up 8 or 9 Tempest. Like, it gets really weird and hyper-focused, and that's what's so cool and beautiful about this matchup, too, is sometimes it's just the critical error of, like, I took all my Tempest and shot into one thing, whereas, like, the really skilled players splits them up on 6 and 6, and they each one-shot something. It gets crazy, not even on just on the unit composition level, but also on the micro level, and that's where I feel like if Hero can get there, as Dario said, it starts to become a little bit of, wow, game 5 maybe.
I hope we go to a game 5 so you can sweat and I can high-five Dario.
I like sweating. I think I
want you to sweat.
Dan, sweating's great.
We'll sweat together.
All right, that sounds fantastic. But I want to remind you guys is if this goes to the late game, one of the biggest problems last game for Classic is he didn't have a Dark Shrine.
Yeah.
But he DT rushed this game. I tell you what, he has a Dark Shrine. And you're sending in 20 Zealots late game against him, I guarantee you he will warp in some DTs this time to deal with that and not lose all his buildings twice.
That reminds me of how great the building placement was by Hero. I mean, just perfect walls. And it's that efficiency of buildings where they weren't extra pylons or extra gateways. They're the gateways and the pylons that he was going to be building anyways. And that army of Zealots ran straight into the DTs, which easily defended. And it's just that hyper efficiency that's just so elegant.
That is Hero.
Tis.
Dario, what's your favorite part about Protoss?
My favorite part about Protoss is that in Legacy of the Void, force fields are not as important anymore.
Okay.
So you're saying force fields are your favorite part about Protoss?
I think actually that's
I've never heard a Zerg say that before.
That is so interesting. Quill, let's call David.
And bring back force fields in Legacy of the Void, please. Thank you.
Make them larger. just covers a natural expansion. You don't have to move there. Still 50 energy, but destructible.
Force fields actually become destructible rocks. It's just
They have health, but they stay there until they're destroyed. So like you can show up to a Protoss space and there's just like a screen-wide size of just force fields. You're like, well, this is going to be annoying.
Now, to ensure that Dario cannot defend himself and cannot claim that he, in fact, doesn't like playing against force field Zerg, Let's throw it on over to our casters as we have Game 4 continuing right now.
Hello again, all you StarCraft fans at home, and hello BlizzCon. Wakey, wakey, everybody. It is time, almost, to get back into the game. We have figured things out backstage, and both players are ready to see, well, we're all ready to see, including the players, who ties the series, if he can tie the series, or if it's all over for Hero.
Yeah, Classic could move into the semi-finals with a victory here on Coda. The game is almost loaded back up. The players are ready. As you can see on the screen right now, and of course, on the stage, Hero praying for the last 5 seconds before we jump into this one. It is all or nothing for Hero.
That's right, a Classic rolling up his sleeves. I've got some work to do, says the SKT1 player. And the CJ Entis ace is going to try and show everyone why he was always talked about and hyped to be the best Protoss player in StarCraft 2. Let's get into it, guys. The game has resumed. We see Classic moving across through the map here, going for a bit of a roundabout walk here. Trying to avoid the middle map vision that Hero has for himself.
Yeah, Hero's got vision on the middle and the right, but he doesn't have anything south here. So if Hero gets surprised by this, this is huge. This is absolutely massive. If Classic moves forward, snipes the Nexus, and gets out, that's what he's looking for. Where's Hero's army?
To the natural.
Oh, there it is. And Hero, anticipating something like this, does start to move. Classic waiting, though.
And Classic has a fair bit of a bigger army as well, and it just got even bigger, almost doubles the army supply of Hero, 107 to the 50, and Hero resupplies there.
Is the target, the Nexus at this moment. It could be straight for Hero's army.
Oh,
there's
Hero's dancing a little bit. The sidewalk goes down, there's Colossus there in trouble for these Zealots. They're charging in, and they make it a couple here. He gets one in the back, and Classic is pushing through. Hero has to give it up and pull back into his natural. He's already in terms of these Zealots are tearing his Colossus apart. Is this it already for Hero? He's warping in, and Classic, the army supply for Hero is dwindling. Classic is pushing through, and it is starting to look like this rivalry will continue as Classic is going to continue his streak against the CJ Entis Hero. Gonna take this series 3-1. And he is remaxing his army, taking apart this natural. Hero is just in shock right now. He has lost all of his economy, all of his army. The Nexus is falling apart.
He probably can't even imagine what just happened. He was like, all right, we're paused, and I'm going to do all these things. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Classic strikes. And Classic strikes hard, and it is a game-winning move.
This is it for Hero. He is trying to fight, but there is just too much from Classic. And this is going to be the end of the CJ Entis players run here for the World Championship at BlizzCon 2015.
Classic, top 4 last year, top 4 this year. GG performance, GG indeed. And Classic moves on.
A well-deserved victory there for the SKT1 Classic. That team is looking so good. Will one of their players reach it all the way to the end?
A magnificent victory from Classic. It really was hard-earned. This was not an easy series, and he comes out on top. As said before, double top 4. Excellent performance from Classic.
Well, Classic does it. You guys are cheering loud. And 3-1, of course, a little bit of a slip up in Game 3, but taking down Hero once again. I mean, Classic, do you even see this as a rivalry anymore? You've pretty much denied Hero a dream several times, including last year, right here. 이번에도 이제 3대1로 이기셨는데 뭐 지금쯤 되면 더 이상 라이벌이라고 생각을 안 하셔도 될 것 같은데 기분이 어떠세요?
제가 하도 이겨서 일단 준우랑 하는 건 자신감이 있었는데 2세트까지 이기고 이제 3대0으로 이길 줄 알았는데 3세트 때쯤 제가 못해가지고 다시 집중해서 4세트에서 무조건 이기자라는 생각으로 했는데 잘 이겨가지고 이제 라이벌보다 제가 좀 더 위이지 않을까 싶어요.
Well, you know, I came in really confident. I've beaten him countless times before, so, you know, I was feeling comfortable. When I was up 2-0, I went into Cactus Valley and I was like, I can beat him 3-0. I did make a mistake, went down, gave him a map, of course, still up 2-1, and I said, well, I gotta finish it in map number 4. I won 3-1, and now, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we're really rivals anymore. I think, you know, I'm at least a little bit ahead on top of her0. I'm definitely going on. This guy's moving on to the semifinals, ladies and gentlemen. Now I want to ask you this too. Now you're moving on to the semifinals here. I mean, you were here, of course, last year too. But if you win BlizzCon, I mean, I would assume people here are going to be chanting your name. How much would it mean to you to be able to hear Classic fill this arena?
올해 이제 다시 이제 준우승 준결승까지 이제 가셨는데 만약에 여기서 우승을 하신다면 정말 NIM 캘리포니아에서 클래식 그걸 계속 들으실 수도 있어요. 만약 그걸 들을 수 있다는 게 얼만큼 큰 의미가 있을까요?
그냥 그게 이제 프로게이머로서 최종 목표일 수도 있을 만큼 그 승리하고 환호성이 정말 많은 힘이 되거든요. 그래서 저도 그걸 꼭 느껴보고 싶어서 이제 4강에서 떨어지지 않고 결승 가서 꼭 우승하고 싶어요.
4강에서 무조건 결승까지 갈 자신 있으세요?
솔직히 4강이 제일 고비인 것 같아요. 제가 작년에도 4강에서 떨어졌고 대신 4강만 이기면 우승할 수 있을 것 같아요.
Well, hearing your name fill a stadium is every pro gamer's dream, and that's what's motivating me this year too. I think, you know, if I can go to the finals and hear that, that'd be such a dream come true. And if I can just get over the semifinals, I think that's always going to be my hardest obstacle. But if I can beat my opponent in the semifinals, I think I'm going to be picking up that trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, Classic moves on to the round of 4 here at the WCS Global Finals.
What a convincing win. We were up here talking nonstop about what could happen in Game 4, and it comes back, bam, instantly done, over in less than a minute. I mean, damn, Jeff, you were right. Classic is that player who I always want to count out. I know about her0's timings, but I mean, getting 50 supply ahead that quickly is stunning.
Look, he is the win toss. 2 top 4s in BlizzCon 2 years in a row here. GSL champion, SSL champion, 1 IM Shenzhen that was completely stacked as well. Always so strong in Pro League for SKT1. The kid just keeps winning. No one's paying attention. And he is a real threat here to take down this tournament.
And I just have one question, Jari. Do you want to change your prediction now?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go I feel like I'm going to go with Classic.
Okay. All right. What about you, Sean?
Well, I think her0 could... No, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I think that really does show how much of an incredible feat it was for Classic to pull off this win. Sure, he's won countless games against her0, but her0 is the #1 ranked player going into this tournament, and he is out. Coming up next, though, we have 2 of the most important, famous StarCraft players in the history of Heart of the Swarm. It's going to be innovation versus life. We'll be back soon.